Hey people, welcome back to my stream. Yeah. All right, so I just found out they don't censor the sprites even if you disable like the adult content, so I still have to censor the shit out of this. All right, how are we gonna do this, guys? All right, I'm gonna use the censor image, the usual one. Wait, let me fix my resolution. It's kind of messed up. All right, let me fix it in OBS. Why is it not fixing OBS? What the fuck is this, bro? Let me do this again. I'm not gonna make it, guys. What is this? Well, okay. You know what? I probably can't do this. If I ignore this, if I ignore it, if I do it like this, whoa, it might work. Does it work? I actually don't know. All right. Let's see. My censor image. Christian stream. Holy shit! All right, let's load this. I'm gonna load it because I save exactly when we saw stuff. Let me read this. I'll let you guys know. All Right, what am I looking at? I'm looking at good things right now, but like I can't stream that shit. Although I didn't bother cutting yesterday, so whatever. Anyway, let me read. As I do, she brings her hands to my chest. With a slightly uneven breath, we lean into a deep kiss. I feel one of Lily's... Yeah, nice. I'm reading the shit, man. I feel one of Lily's hands slowly slide up to my shoulder. It and her head very gently moving forwards. Assuming her intent, I lean back onto the floor. Ah, that's his how, by the way. She lowers herself beside me, one hand stroking my hair as the other moves across my chest. The feeling of her breast against it is enough to excite me. Nice. This must be her way of taking in what I've already seen of her. Despite her lack of sight, she engraves every detail of my bare body and chest into her mind. Yeah, well, you know. If a person was just like a disembodied voice until, you know, she touched his face on like an earlier scene, and then now she wants to know more of this person in detail, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let me continue reading. That was me commenting because I really can't imagine it. Like if you spent most of your life just your eyes closed, if you're a person who can see, and then you hear voices, you have no choice but to agree those are people. And let's say they are people and not like your schizo daydream shit, man. Schizo delusions. You know, I really like this, you know, like how she's doing this with her hands, and somehow this combined with the sex scene is amazing. Plot relevant stuff. Let's continue. When her middle finger falls into the slight recess of my chest scar. Wait a second, why does he have a chest? Oh, because of the surgery. A lingering effect on my operation so many months ago. She slowly runs her hand down its length. Lily. This is Hisao. The scar from my surgery. They had to do this in order to operate on my heart. For a moment, she's lost for words. The idea of such extensive scarring adding a new worry for her. Her expression changes from curiosity to apprehension. Lily, should we really be doing this kind of thing? Yeah, come to think of it, sex does increase your heart rate to max, right? And you might actually die doing it. Let's continue. Those words bother me beyond what is rational. Lily's face breaks my heart more than even her words possibly could. Yet, I don't even know the answer to her question. I can't let this condition dominate me forever. It may not even be medically advisable. But I outright refuse to live my life in such a prison. If you hanged out with Emmy, maybe your heart would have strengthened. I don't know. Alright, Hisao. It's okay, Lily. This much will be okay. What? You know, man. Yeah, what if you could actually die just by doing it, man? Holy fuck. Because some people actually die doing it. Her troubled expression holds for a moment longer, but she eventually acquiesces. Her hand moving to my lower chest, and then my thigh. With a look of slight surprise, she slowly moves her hand downwards, her breath catching as she brushes the side of my lower hair. She tentatively moves her hand sideways, delicately touching the most honest part of my body. Lily. This is... Hisao. Yeah. Our nervousness peaks as the act begins. her hand gently patting up and down as lightly as if it would breathe it upon the wall. This is a weird description of that. I'm not sure whether it's just to steady myself or because I want to steady her. But I take my free hand and hold the side of her face in it. The feeling of her hair and soft skin is nice, and it seems to lighten her mood a bit. The mere fact that I'm being touched by her is surprisingly erotic. I feel my body relaxing as I submit to the pleasure overwhelming me. Long minutes pass in almost... Wait. Let me double check. Actually, I don't even know if my... Okay, good. I forgot to check something about my stream. Let me continue again. Long minutes pass in almost total silence. Our heavy breathing, the only sound to be heard in the house. Lily's fingers stop affectionately stroking my hair, and she opens her lips once again. Lily. Hisao. I wait a second for the rest of the sentence, but none is forthcoming. She may be trying to take the lead, but she's still incredibly nervous. I can't help smiling as I stroke her hair from her face a couple of times, reassuring her. As nervous as she may be, I'm thankful that Lily's taking the lead. I'd probably be just as anxious as she is if I were attending to her. That's how. Okay. She pauses a moment before giving a small nod, sitting up and shifting her legs over mine. Once again, my breath is stolen by the magnificent sight of her body over mine. I can only look unfrozen as she delicately lowers herself, resting her reddened lips over me. She slowly begins to move her hips downwards, her softness enveloping my consciousness. She takes a deep breath to collect herself, her face remaining steady, with her hands taking in my body in lieu of sight. The intimate situation muddles her usual efforts to compensate for the lack of eye contact. She gradually lowers herself onto me, her knees and hands supporting her as she does. Her entire body tenses as I enter, her expression obviously one of stifled pain. Despite that, I can't help savoring the soft, warm feeling enveloping my consciousness, the surge of pleasure overwhelming all my senses. The last vestiges of it all but disappear inside her, while her nails slightly scrape into my chest, in an effort to stop herself from yelping in pain. A pain moan, too much for her to suppress completely, escapes from her lips. As I open my mouth to comfort her, I see the barely visible red drops from between her legs. Okay, his out. Lily, if it's too much... Wait, you know what? If I'm already censoring, I might as well just actually look at the scene, because it's kind of it's a black screen on my side. Might as well just see what. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm immersed, if you know what I mean. She clenches her mouth tightly, quickly and forcefully, shaking her head from side to side in defiance. After a couple of seconds, she relaxes her body slightly, though she's still obviously far from being comfortable. Lily, it's okay. I'm okay. Nice CGs, holy shit. This is art. Holy shit, this is art, man. She swallows hard, trying to collect herself, lifting herself slowly and bringing herself back down. She relaxes a little more as the feelings of pleasure begin to overtake those of pain. Her breathing starts to match the same ragged patterns as mine, her body moving almost teasingly slow. She looks as if she's slowly beginning to enjoy the act, my feelings finally reaching her. That's a good way to say it. I'm not sure if she's keeping herself at this speed for my sake or for mine, but either way, with a slow and steady pace, I think I can keep my body in check. It's funny, in a way, that even now I'm depending on her. For us to be joined together like this, our feelings so close, it makes me glad to be sharing our first moment together like this. Is an almost overwhelming feeling. All right, it's out. I love you, Lily. It's out. You know what? She's just repeating his name, so it's the usual sex thing. I can feel her body tensing, her breathing and movements becoming steadily less carefully controlled. I'm happy to be making her feel so good, but as my thoughts become increasingly focused, I can feel myself rapidly nearing my limit. They do it in a very classic manner. Nice. Anyway, control on my body as instantaneously wrestle from my mind as I grip my feet hard, a loud moan escaping as a climax, and my hips hits hers. Her body hunches over at the same time, her breast touching on my chest. We stay locked in an all-encompassing ecstasy for a brief moment, my mind completely taken by the feeling for a precious few seconds. It all ends all too soon, and our bodies collapse in exhaustion, with Lily barely staying on top of me. I lightlessly managed to wrap my arms around her limp, sweating body, and for minutes we simply lay there, silently savoring the contact with each other while we recover from the experience. Neither of us thought ourselves prepared for such a thing. Of that much I am certain. Entirely drained, far past the point of conversation, I looked at her tired face. It looks as if the exertion, both physical and mental, has almost forced her to verge on collapse. It's out. I love you, Lily. She nods weakly, rubbing my hair with her left hand. If we could simply remain together like this for an eternity, it would be a paradise like no other. Oh, nice. Okay. Are we back? Are we so back? Holy shit, we might be so back now. All right, maybe wait. Let me check the scene first before I continue. Let me continue reading. After being woken by a sound, I open my eyes with a measure of reluctance. Turning my head to the left, I find the rain outside sweeps against the windows loudly. Spray after wind-blown spray lashes against the grass, as if trying its hardest to make up for summer's previous heat. I set up in the futon. Okay, maybe this is fine. It's fine. Okay, maybe this is fine. I think it was fine. Holding the back of my head to try and subdue the pain from my awkward sleeping position. By all accounts, I should be lamenting the turn in the weather, given that this is our last day here. The events of yesterday refuse to stop flooding my mind, though. The feeling of holding Lily's crying body in my arms, the rush of lust and hormones that flowed through us as we spent the night together. It seems almost futile to try and rationalize everything that happened. In an attempt to distract myself, I groan and lean over to retrieve my bag without standing, pulling out one bottle after another. I take the daily regiment's word of pills from their containers and swallow them without further ado. It took a surprisingly short amount of time to get used to swallowing pills without water. That said, I suppose the same thing goes for getting used to living in a school for disabled students. Remembering Yamaku, I've become all the more grateful for having the chance to get away, even if it's just for the shortest of times. I appreciate the chance to spend time alone with Lily and Hanako, away from the bustle of school life, even considering the latest complications. I never thought I'd say that, but the idea of living away from the city in a nice tranquil area is an inviting one. It's a thought that, barely a year ago, would have seemed simply ludicrous. A flash of pink, no doubt Hanako's gown, peeks from around the corner. Realizing I must look outside must look a sight since I'd only just woken up. I slapped the remaining pills in my mouth and run a hand through my hair. Good morning, Hisao. Good. I replied there, completely forgetting that I'm in the middle of swallowing a particularly large pill. Coughing and spluttering, I violently gag on it. Ah, Hisao! After splutting loudly and tapping my chest a couple of times to force it down, I managed to recover. I'm fine. Sorry, I forgot I was swallowing. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I hold my hand up, gesturing for Hanako to stop. Hey, gag, it's my fault. Morning, Hanako. She pauses for a moment before replying and bowing in reply. Walking, no staggering in behind Hanako is a familiar figure of Lily, also dressed in her pajamas, with her eyes full of sleep and hair bed drag. She's a sight to behold. Hi, Lily. Good morning, Hisao. For a while, a silence hangs in the air as neither of us knows what to do. Given what happened last night, we both have more than enough reason to find the situation awkward. Just how are we meant to react to meeting each other after something like that? The best course of action would probably be to talk to Lily alone to set things in order. I'll start making breakfast. Lily evidently catches on to my train of thought. I'll help, Hanako, could you set the table? She nods, and her head disappearing into a cupboard as she quickly goes about her assigned task. I rub a little more sleep out of my eyes as I wander over to the fridge, take out some milk, and Lily grabs various brightly colored boxes from some of the lower cupboards to my side. While we make the rather bland-looking meal, I whisper something more quietly than usual. Knowing Lily's hearing, she won't have any trouble catching what I say. Do I also have to whisper that? I really got into it, man. She gives a delicate nod. Her expression weak, though her tiredness surely plays a part. She seemed genuinely unsure about what's happened between us and how to move ahead. I can't say I blame her, considering my feelings are the same. I'm sorry, Hisao. I wasn't thinking straight yesterday. I never thought to consider you or Hanako. And I even went as far as... She's winding herself up, with her hands and voice both tightening. I give her a gentle bump to try and lighten up the situation. You don't have to apologize. I said I liked you as well, after all. But As her composure begins to falter, it becomes obvious there's no alternative. Turning to Lily, I gently embrace her tall frame. She offers no resistance at all, thankfully pulling back just from the edge of her emotions. Oh shit, she can see! Despite our reassuring embrace lasts only a matter of seconds, I know it is Hanako and we're listening. Oh, nice! Well, this is how you break with your friend that you guys are dating, I guess. The plate in her hand hovers inches above the table. Her action halted midway with a slight. She finally finds out. That is kind of awkward. The clatter of utensils against plates is the only sound to be heard as we silently eat. She doesn't know how to react. Whereas before only two of us may have been unsure of ourselves, the entire situation has changed. After weeks of blissful friendship, while whiling away the days with shared meals and chatter with little meaning, the relationship of Lily and me know that all of us has irreversibly changed. I can't take this. Lily? She solemnly nods, gently laying her spoon onto the plate in front of her. Neither of us knows exactly how we regard each other, let alone how Hanako would view us. This might seem abrupt, but I've confessed to Hisao. I like the little blush, man. Her expression didn't change, but there's like a little blush that shows up, man. They really know how to do that shit. For a moment, Hanako looks almost confused. Precisely the reaction I thought she would have. She eventually nods, her spoon still in her mouth, as she does. Did you accept? I did. She gives a smile so large and so earnest, I find myself blushing. I think it's the brightest I've ever seen her expression look. Then I'm happy. I'm really, really happy. I'm sorry for not telling you anything about it before. Things have been. Hanako shakes her head from side to side emphatically, apparently forgetting in her rush that Lily couldn't possibly notice. She begins to fiddle with her fingers, looking a little more nervous than she did before. To be honest, I begin to think you might like each other a while ago. At first, I didn't really know what to think about it, but I decided in the end that if my friends are happy, then I'm happy. I was really glad to have another friend when we met Hisao, so you finding love through him is even better, right? A feeling of relief at her acceptance of our relationship falls over me like a wave. The same happens to Lily, judging by her expression. Thank you, Hanako. I really appreciate you being so understanding. Lily's voice is still sounding slightly apologetic, or at least unsure. This doesn't escape Hanako, who appears lost in thought for a few moments before turning to me. Hisao, do you mind if Lily and I go outside for a bit? No, feel free. Hanako? Hanako gets up from her seat, taking Lily's hand, almost dragging her from the table in her excitement. Considering Lily's typically slow and steady pace, Hanako's haste makes her footing awkward and she almost loses her balance a couple of times. It's a pretty amusing sight, leaving me wordless as I watch them disappear out of the door. It's only now that I realize the rain stopped, being replaced by a sky seemingly all more vivid and bright to make up for the morning's drab gray expanse. For Hanako, this must be a pretty big revelation. Lily and I are really the only people she associates with, almost as if we were parents in her own stead. I suppose that might well be the best way to describe the relationship we share. A father, mother, and daughter. Wow, they're playing house, what the fuck? All playing around in our little make-believe family, as if it could last forever. It might be a strange dynamic, and one that certainly can't last for long, but maybe, just for this one small moment, it's okay. As I stand for the table and go to join Lily and Hanako in the fields outside, I nod to myself in affirmation. This one small moment of happiness, no matter how brief, will last with me, with all of us, forever. Submerged deep in the hot water, I let out the drawn-out sigh escape my lips. The feeling of seemingly every muscle in my body relaxing is euphoric. I have no idea how long it's been since I had a genuine hot bath, but right now, I can hardly be bothered trying to remember. Maybe I'm giving the simple fact that for once I get to have a real bath more credit than it's due. The chance to just calm down, allow myself to unwind, and have some time for myself is a welcome one. Hanako, Lily, and I wandered about outside, exploring the extent of surprisingly large tract of land surrounding the house. Then we spent the majority of the afternoon resting, watching television, reading, and playing cards. It may not have been the most exciting finale to the trip, but such tranquil peacefulness is something to savor. Even after we return to school tomorrow, I think I'll remember this little house in Hokkaido for a long time. Yeah, for me, Hokkaido also has this similar feeling. So chill, man. Well, when I went there, it was winter, so it was literally chill. But you know, there's something chill about Hokkaido compared to like Tokyo or like fucking Kansai. But anyway, it's a pity. We only have a couple more hours to spend here before going to get the train back. All I can do is yawn contentedly while I watch the stream slowly rise from the clear water's placid surface, my eyes eventually locking onto the ceiling. Our exams are imminent. I barely studied at all for them. On top of that, I don't even know what I'll do after graduation. Passing exams is all well and good, but to what end? Also now, of all times, I'm getting into a relationship. What the hell am I doing? I guess I shouldn't think like that. What's done is done. And maybe this could be viewed as just another aspect of my new life that I'm working on. I enjoy being with Lily. It is more to life than school and a career after all. As I busily attempt to rationalize all that's happened, I hear a series of raps on the door. I pick myself up and sit up straight, trying to figure out the source. Wait, I need to be careful, you know? I won't be surprised if there's something that happens, man. You gotta be careful. 3. No. And no less. Light yet assertive in their tapping. Time regularly enough to tune a metronome. I'd be extremely surprised if it wasn't Lily. Alright. I'm just gonna put it up just in case. Because I don't know what happens. Alright. Lily, may I come in? Yeah, it's Lily. I'm still in the bat. I'll be out in a sec. I know. Oh, good thing. I know. I knew it. They're gonna do it. The voice coming from the other side of the door freezes me. After a second's thought, I rest on the side of the bat and let my arms dangle over the side. Despite trying my best to play it off, I can't help letting my mind wander. Sure. Come in. With that, she opens the door, slowly walking into the room, closing it behind her. She looks oddly calm, countering my racing heart. I mean, come on. Hey, Lily. Okay, Lily. Do you mind if I take a bath with you? Isao. I don't mind. Go ahead. With a small nod, she begins to lift her sweater off her shoulders, baring her chest little by little. I could do that for you, if you like. Lily. Refuse. She wants to be sexy, okay? Come on, let her, man. Sao. Why? Lily. ... Her face shows she's still not overly comfortable with letting me attend to her. I can't say I blame her. She continues undressing, her shirt and her skirts falling into the floor, and leaving her in a white lace bra and panties. Eventually stands bare in the center of the room. It's a good thing. It's a good thing I put this up early. Holy shit. Compared to the last time, it's a lot easier to take in her entire figure. It's a wonderful sight. I do agree. Lily. Hisao. Lily. You're thinking perverted thoughts, aren't you? Hisao. Give me a break. You're undressing in front of me. She furrows her brow in thought. Lily. I guess this would be somewhat more erotic for you than me. Well, you know what, Lily? The moment you guys touch, it's gonna be way more erotic for you. You know? This is an interesting experience. Okay, let's continue. Sao. Why? She gives a small, lighthearted chuckle, which seems to settle her nerves a little. Lily. If this is too much for you, Hisao, I can come back later. Hisao. No, this is fine. I'm just a bit... Well... You're really beautiful, you know. Her earnest comment draws a vivid red blush from Lily. Hisao, I give a small grin. She's cute when she's taken off guard. Lily. In any case, may I come in? Hisao. Ah, sure. I lean forwards and take her soft hands in mine, helping her over the side of the bat. She feels out the side of the bathtub and slowly lowers herself in, my breath catching when she sits and leans her back onto my front, her legs inside mine, and expect her to sit at the other end. Oh, this is a nice CG. Too bad you guys can't see this shit. Guys, play the game. you go play the game. The why is his head's already there? The CG, man. This is a fun CG. Anyway, letting out a long breath to calm myself, I rest my arms on the side of the bat as I struggle to control my urges. Far from missing the sight of her assets, the feeling of her body against mine is surprisingly relaxing. Lily's so sensitive to touch. It must be all the more so for her. Lily. You run your bats quite hot, don't you? Hisao. A bit. Do you want me to run some cold water to cool it down a bit? She gives a small shake of her head. Lily. No, this is fine. Hisao. Okay. The conversation comes to an abrupt end, silence taking over. A very long and very awkward silence. Lily. Maybe this was a bit too... Hisao. Don't worry. It's okay. The situation only becomes even more awkward. As if to distract herself, Lily runs her free hand over her legs while holding one over her breast for modesty. I sit idly watching the wall ahead of me and the rising steam, every now and again stealing a glimpse of her at her body. The white of her skin glistens as she keeps sliding her hand over her legs, their length and tone all the more obvious. Hisao. You know, compared to Akira, you look a lot more foreign. Lily. I took after my mother's side genetically. Akira took after my father's more. Hisao. I guess that makes sense. How on earth did the native Scot and the Japanese businessman meet anyway? Lily. My mother was a journalist. She met my father while he was in a conference at Inverness. Inverness. I actually don't know how to pronounce this. I think this is a place in Scotland, but I pronounce things, man. Hisao. Ah, I see. Taking after your Scottish side would also explain your height, I suppose. I look back down at her as she nods and sigh at the ridiculousness of the situation. Hisao. This really is too much, isn't it? Lily. You're enjoying it though, aren't you? Hisao. In some ways, yes. I guess things turned out okay in the end. Everything settled down. Hanaka took our relationship well, and we'll be going back to school tomorrow. Lily. Indeed. It's a shame to be going back so soon, but we'll still have our memories of this place. Hisao. Memories, huh? I suppose so. We'll have to see how everything goes once we get back. But for now, I'm glad you like me. I've been winding myself up for weeks about that. So I'm thankful for things turning out like this. She nods, leaning into me as we share the warmth of our bodies. I'm not sure whether she'll be okay with it or not, but my temptation rapidly begins to get the better of my self-restraint. Hisao. Hey, Lily? Lily? Yes? Lily. Hisao. How was it? Last night, that is. She pauses in thought before looking down slightly. A delicate smile finds its way onto her lips as she blushes, her body becoming more relaxed. It's more than enough to answer the question. Even as I give a small nod in response, thoughts of last night run through my mind. Considering the situation, I don't really think anyone blamed me. Hisao, Lily. Hisao, your heart's beating. Her voice is cut off as I delicately place a hand on her thigh. While I resisted before, the memory of our first time is enough to make me give in. She lets her body lean into mine without a word of protest. Wait. Isn't it dangerous because the hot water and all? I mean, with hot water, your heart rate's already increased, but like, Anyway, let me continue reading. She lets her body lean into mine without a word of protest, an invitation that I'd be hard put to ignore. I place a small kiss on her neck to accept, before slowly moving my hand over her smooth legs. Lily, Hisao, please. Even as she says it, her mouth curls upward to a smile, her tone caught between embarrassment and awkward giggling. Eventually, she takes one of my hands in hers, guiding it to her right breast. I greatly appreciate the tentative guidance she's willing to give me. All signs of tension in her body give way. I continue to take in the feeling of her soft skin, redoubled as my other hand slips between her legs. I wonder if the feeling in my hands of her is exaggerated by the lack of sight, since her other senses are so finely tuned. She does seem to be enjoying it to a surprising extent, after all. It gives me a somewhat odd feeling, but a pleasurable one. It only takes a few minutes before her body starts to squirm ever so slightly. Her efforts to stifle her moaning becomes visible as she purses her lips. Her light-hearted whispered protestations become notably more quiet. This makes me realize that all her squirming against my bodies made me increasingly excited as well. Hisao, Lily. I withdraw my hands to give her added senses time to respond. Nodding, she shakily stands and offers her hand for me to lead her out of the cramped bathtub. Nice, because it's kind of hard to do it in the bathtub anyway. She maneuvers herself out of the bath as I do, our hands holding each other's. Eventually, I sit beside the bathtub, the two of us fuzzing around a little until we get comfortable. With a small gasp, desperately constrained to avoid being audible outside, she lowers herself onto me once again. The way she moves makes it obvious that she must still be on the verge of her climax. She slowly starts to move her hips up and down, her tongue finding mine as she holds my face upwards. I realize just how much pleasuring her has excited me. Okay, so she's repeating his name, if you know what I mean. Despite her clouded eyes being shut, her tightening grip on my shoulders show that she's nearing the end of her endurance. As our breathing becomes more and more ragged, I rapidly feel my limit approaching as well. A series of harsh breaths is the only warning before her final gasp of ecstasy, her entire body tensing and her fingernails digging into my shoulders. My loins hit hers, both of us frozen against each other in climax. In a few precious seconds, it's all over. Lily slumping forward onto me as I regain myself. Hisao, that was good. She takes a gulp of air before replying, steadying herself as she nods. She bows her head down to give me a small kiss, my hand reaching up to hold strands of her disheveled hair as we once again sit in blissful silence. All right, I think we're so back. Okay. Why are they all happening at the same in rapid succession, man? Is it gonna be plot all from here? What the fuck? All right, let's go. After a chaotic dash to the station and finding our seats in the otherwise deserted carriage, we promptly crash. Looking at the time, close to midnight, it's a little surprised that few take this particular train. Hanako is fast asleep on Lily's shoulder, and I only barely mustered the energy to stay awake. The excitement we had a while ago probably didn't help. I'd probably be depressed about going back to school if my brain was actually working. Well, to be fair, yeah, it will be a long time before they can do it again. So, I totally understand doing it. Well, never mind. As it is, though, the sight of the nighttime scenery scrolling by is surprisingly beautiful. My loud yawn is nearly wholly drowned out by the clacking of the train tracks and the old carriages rattling. I'm so tired. And whose fault is that, Hisao? She really does toe the line between insulting and amusing sometimes, though I manage to wring out a weary smile. I look back out the window, a reflection just visible on the clear pane. Truth be told, she's perfectly correct. If it weren't for that little interlude a few hours ago, both of us would have a lot more energy. Doubt it, guys. On top of that, we both had to take another bath, very nearly making us late for the train's departure. I was thinking about something. Yeah, it was mine. Still, getting in a bat with a guy is a dangerous thing to do. Evidently. Sorry. I guess I kind of took advantage of the situation back there. Well, I didn't exactly hate it. You know what? If you're going to be taking a bat with your significant other, the probability is like 90% of me, man. It's 90%. The only time nothing happens there is because you guys are in a hurry or some shit, but But whatever, let's continue. As she trails off, I look back to her. My eyes narrow as I see her slightly reddened cheeks and small grin, her mind obviously elsewhere. Say it. I knew the possibility of it happening was there. Obviously, man. Obviously. What the fuck? Don't try. Don't try to hide it. I knew it. You're just as dirty-minded as I am. She continues. She quickly cuts into her free hand, making her disapproval crystal clear. That's rather a crude way of putting it. Oh? And you would suggest? I merely have a healthy adolescent sex drive. So in other words, dirty-minded. Almost seeming to sense the moment, Hanako mumbles quietly as she furrows her brow. He's laughing and hearing their conversation. That's kind of awkward to hear, man. Lily's look of disapproval melts away as she gently smiles and strokes her hand on Hanako's long dark hair. All I can do is watch and smile. If someone were to ask me when I fell in love with her, I wouldn't be able to answer. The best I'd be able to come up with is it just happened at some point, but I didn't realize it. If someone were to ask me why I love her, then I could answer much more easily. You really love Hanako, don't you? She gives a deep nod, smiling warmly. It's a pity we had to return to school. She seemed to relax so much while we were all away. What am I much more interested to talk about? I want to talk about Hanako. Might be important to say, or maybe not. But I want to talk about Hanako. And I think well, to be honest, I'm much more worried about Hanako than school, man. In general. In general. Like, if I were in his shoes, I think about Hanako. I wouldn't worry. Hanako's been gaining confidence thanks to you, at least for as long as I've known you two. She gives a self-depreciating sigh. I think I merely provided her with company and support. Since she came to know you, she's opened up much more, even to me. I get the feeling she's understating her influence on Hanako, especially given that both the two came to know each other. Hanako had no friends to speak of. The friends I had had in my previous school fulfilled what I expected of them, for the most part simply being there for idle chatter. But in Hanako and Lily, there were really feels to be more to their relationship. Part of me envies it, but another can't ignore the fact that the school year will eventually end. After graduation, I really have no idea what Hanako will do. This trip has shown me just how much we've all come to depend on one another. Indeed, we're all going to have to make decisions. Maybe that's the reason why, despite our returning to school, also heralding a return to normalcy of everyday life, I can't help feeling a little restless. On the bright side, it won't take long for summer holidays to arrive after our exams are finished. We could come back here during summer holidays if you want. For a moment, she thinks on the notion, her face becoming somewhere distant. I can only guess she's reflecting on all that's happened here. That would be good, I think. I nod approvingly, smiling at her. Summer, together with Lily. This idea seems like the perfect way to spend our holiday. Nice, Act 4. Future. Holy shit. Alright, we're doing it. Act 4. Let me make a save. Thank God for Friday. I have a lot more time. After the excitement of our trip to Hokkaido, it seems strange to be right back to the usual daily routine so soon. Indeed, it feels like a normal day, the same as any other. Well, that's what I'd like to think anyway. To tell the truth, the atmosphere of the entire class and the entire school has changed. While an undercurrent of subdued trepidation had previously pervaded this class, now that the exams are in sight, it's boiled over into a frantic studying rarely seen otherwise. One day until exams start, it's horrific, really, that instead of studying, we went and wasted our time up north. We were such model students too. Glancing around the class, even the bubbly, ever-energetic Misha seems oddly deflated. She sits at her desk, nervously chewing a pen while Muto lectures from the front of the class. Wait. On closer inspection, I do believe she's eating it. Tearing my eyes from the sorry spectacle, I turn my attention elsewhere. Hanako sits frantically scribbling in her notebook, her face mere inches away from the page, seemingly trying to record every word that leaves Muto's mouth. She's in it as well. She's in it. Cool as a cucumber. She sits diligently, taking notes with her attention wholly focused on the front of the class. Truth be told, it's that I should be doing as well. If not for the fact that I feel like I have a pretty good handle on what's being covered already. I wonder how Lily's doing. While she does have a good head on her, she has plenty on her plate, unlike me. Her class representative duties, taking care of Hanako, her other social contacts, her extra English studies. That girl really does take on a lot. The lunchtime bell rings a sigh of relief from the entire class, Muto being no exception. I get the feeling he prefers the more laid-back atmosphere of his normal classes to the frantic pace of exam preparation we're subjected to right now. Hichan, help me. I lower my eyelids to half mask, making clear my intention of doing quite the opposite. Help me, help me, help me. Not going well. Hichan's going to be fine, but I think I might die. Am I going to die, Hichan? Will you let me die from all this work? How molten. Given that she's neither the brightest student in the class or nor the most diligent, it isn't a great surprise that she's finding it hard to cope with the workload. Sorry, Misha, but I've got my own work to do. I thought you and Shizune would be studying together over the long weekend anyway. Studying is too boring to waste a holiday on. Hichan, shopping together was much more fun, wasn't it, Hichan? It's only now that I realize Shizune's been looking over to us, and that Misha's arms have been moving like all this time. I must have really zoned out to not have noticed. What is it with girls and shopping anyway? Even Lily and Hanako dragged me out with them in a couple of times. But you went anyway. It's so rare to see a guy that likes going shopping. Well, my role would probably be best described as a pat mule. I can't say I share your enthusiasm about the experience. Back to the exams. You studied after you got back from the days off, didn't you, Shizune? Of course it, Chan. It's only sensible to study in the days before. Because he realized she didn't do that. Misha makes a sound vaguely similar to a dying cow as she realizes her folly and unceremoniously flops onto her desk, betrayed even by her best friend. Judging from Shizune's quite frustrated look at Misha, she probably told her to study as she did. Don't worry, you can still gain some grades if you start studying now. Maybe. Misha doesn't seem overly amused. It seems the bubbly balloon of everlasting cheerfulness has been cruelly popped. Shizune's signing goes unnoticed by the moping Misha, earning her a quick poke in the shoulder. It takes barely a moment for Misha to get back into form. So what did you do over the weekend, Hichan? Just a good trip up north with Lily and Hanako. It was pretty nice. I see both of them narrowing their eyes at me, their minds surely in the gutter. The fact that their suspicions are founded makes the situation all the more awkward. We just studied and went sightseeing. There's nothing more to it. After such a flagrant lie, I realized that it may not have been the best step, considering Shizune's connections and her total lack of restraint when it comes to questioning someone she suspects of telling untruths. I really have no idea how she's going to take it, but she'll find out eventually. Anyway, it isn't as if it's really her business whom I date in any case. And yes, Lily and I are going. Good. He just drops it, man. He preemptively just drops it. Okay, didn't even ask. He just drops it, like, you know. While Misha receives the news with an enthusiastic smile, Shizune gives a look of mild surprise, somewhat masked by her cool demeanor. Whoever your date is your business. I hope you two go well together. Misha gives a look that says this is the most quarter I could possibly receive on the matter. That's all I wanted, really. After she says this, though, Shizune begins to sign something else, then stops herself and shakes her head at Misha to prevent her from translating. Normally, I think this is strange enough, but the awkward casual wave Shizune gives before walking off with Misha in tow adds to my confusion. Shizune is hardly the kind of person to pull a punch or communicate without forethought. I shrug my shoulders at the duo's odd behavior and look toward Hanako's desk, but see that her chair is empty. She was definitely here before, so I guess she didn't feel like waiting. I'll go grab some food alone then. Walking down the hallway to the unused room that's become the second home to the 3 students in particular, I mournfully look down at the plastic wrapped salad roll and juice box in my hand. The cafeteria's food really is unappetizing. Maybe I'll consider this my penance for my recent indiscretions. Opening the door, I noticed one less quiet figure than I expected. It's strange. Despite having known Lily for months, I can't help thinking back to the very first time I opened this door and saw her silently sitting in the sunlight. Just as she did then, she slowly opens her eyes, unmoving as they are, and calmly addresses me. Good morning, Hisao. It's afternoon, I think. Has Hanako been around? She skidded out of class without even me noticing. Lily cradles her cheek thoughtfully as I take a seat, my bag taking its place against the closest leg of the table, and my unsatisfying meal neatly set out in front of me. She did appear for a time. She said she had to study for the upcoming exams and left for the library. We find ourselves not entirely believing her words. Well, at least her intentions are in the right place. She is sweet, but she needn't go this far to let us have our space. I might talk to her about it sometime. Probably for the best. For a while, we quietly eat our meals, Lily elegantly nibbling on our sandwiches and sipping her tea as I eat what tastes like a garden sandwich and dry dough. The atmosphere feels slightly strained, neither of us knowing quite what to say to each other now that our small talk has dried up. And eventually, we both finish our food without conversation for coming for quite some time. Eventually, though, Lily's soft voice breaks the silence. A lot happened back there, didn't it? Hmm? Again, silence, with both our minds on the same topic. Though, I think I have my feelings feelings in that sorted out. I know everything happened in a kind of rush, but I don't regret anything that happened in Hokkaido. Not one thing. Hisao? Slightly tense, I take her hands in mine. Had to feel her, had to settle my own nerves. I stand by my words back there, Lily. I love you, and I won't leave you. I only wish for you to think the same. She silently reflects for a long time, which feels like an eternity. Her reverie comes to an end. She takes one hand from mine, placing it over them as she leans her body forward and stands out of her chair. After a moment's hesitation, her face slightly pensive, our lips meet mine for a brief moment. My mind feels as if it's briefly stopped for a moment, barely registering Lily sitting back in her chair and smiling back at me with ever so slightly reddened cheeks. I love how she went for instead of replying, she just straight up does she straight up kisses him and all. Wait, give me a second. Let's go back. Let me go back. All right. Let me go back. Hearing that makes me very happy, Hisao. I would be glad to stay with you. Maybe it would be good to slow things down a bit compared to before. We still have school, after all, and our exams. She gives a mischievous giggle, which proves to be contagious. That might be a good idea indeed. You think you'll fare well in your exams? There's only one day until they arrive, as you say. I probably should have studied more, but I think I've got good enough head to manage. That said, I had a bad mission, Shizune. Is your class as worried about the exams as mine? She lets out an exasperated sigh, all but confirming it. I'm thankful for the atmosphere becoming a bit lighter. I think so. I've already been asked for help by my two classmates, and there'll be no doubt be more. Think of it as your first training in being a teacher, maybe. That's probably a good way to negate a bit. On that note, how are you faring in your English studies? I remember it was far from your strongest subject, and the few sentences you memorized to speak to my mother aren't likely to help. Damn. Right on the mark. You got me. If you don't mind, would you be able to possibly help in that regard? Please. It would be my pleasure to help you, Hisao. But in exchange, she lowers her eyebrows at me, her coquettish nature tentatively coming to the fore. No problem at all. You'll probably be better off with some help in your studies, though. She beams a smile at me, one girlish victory that makes me blush. I get the feeling she's aware of how to use her face to twist my judgment. So I should probably be more on guard. Here and now, though, a study group seems like an expedient way for both of us to shore up our more lacking skills. The school bell rings out, reminding us that time isn't going to stand still. Huh. Lunchtime's over already. It sure is easy to lose track of time here. This room's so far from the other clubs and activities. Not much sound can reach us. That's probably most of the reason why. A place far from all the others, alone with just one person whom she loves. As Lily stands and collects her bag and cane, my thoughts are cast back to the time we spent in Hokkaido. Ah, before I go, Akira and I are having a homecoming party in my room tomorrow. Will you be able to come? And back again. My schedule is free, so I should be able to make enough room in my study time to make it. Good to hear, Hisao. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're back from Scotland. Once exams are over, we should have some more time to ourselves. Holidays start soon after too. We can start the holidays with Tanabata. Then, just as we promised, at the school festival. She brings her hand to her cheek, laughs slightly nervously, recalling the event as I silently thank myself for managing to remember. It seems odd to see her react in such a way, though it's not like I've never seen her embarrassed before. I'd better be going. Farewell, Hisao. Bye. Whether it's out of habit or just a stubborn desire for one small fragment of normality, I hold my hand up in farewell just as I always do. At least I'm consciously aware that I'm doing it now. I think I'm beginning to see this bigger picture than I ever had before. Not only with Lily, but also my life ahead. The chains of my past are finally breaking. Walking up the slightly more familiar corridor of the girls' dormitories, I can hear the faint sound of laughter coming from up ahead. It doesn't take long to identify the source as Lily's room, though the deep timbre of the female voice unmistakably belongs not to her but to her sister. I rap my knuckles on the door with the usual tree-light taps, my hand barely retreating as the door swings open. Hey, Hisao. Hey, hello Lily. Hanako. Hanako looks up tentatively, her hands buried in her oversized pink nightgown. From her side, Lily turns sideways toward the direction of my voice and smiles. It would be a fragrant lie to say I dislike the sight of her and those pajamas. I catch. Yeah. For some reason, she's wearing pajama shorts. I rarely see anyone wear pajama shorts. It's always like pajama pants. Anyway, even I wear pajama pants. What the fuck? I've never seen shorts. Whatever. My loungewear is like whatever. I catch Akira giving me a sidelong look with a knowing grin, to whether I reply with a sharp gaze. Glare, sharp glare. She takes the hint, shrugs, and walks back to the low table in the center of the room. As I go to join her, Lily gives me a nod of greeting and starts pouring me a cup of tea. It's nice to see you again, Hanako. You've been getting around recently. Lily wears a look of concentration as the light brown liquid, carefully measured by her finger, as always, flows from teapot into cup. It seems Hanako has taken up helping one of the people in your class with the newspaper club. Naomi, I think? Hanako gives an affirmative nod. Even after spending about 2 months in the class, I still had trouble remembering the names of those students I rarely talk with. It takes me a few mental contortions to connect the names with the face, but I eventually remember the girl that sits beside Hanako at the back of the class. Naomi Inoue, fairly average-looking girl, except for her bleached blonde hair. Given her upbeat and straightforward personality, Naomi may have seen an opening to poach Hanako for her club when she inquired about joining one. Either way, it's nice to see Hanako broadening her horizons. When I first met her, the idea of her joining a club with anyone but Lily would have seemed utterly laughable. That'll explain how busy you've been. Enjoying it? It's really interesting. As always, Hanako, far from being talkative, some things never change. It seems that Hanako's personality is one of them. She'll likely always be one to shy away from being overly social. I know how that feels, guys. Warned by the sound of crockery against the table, as Lily gently places my drink in front of me, I thank her and take a long sip. Hanako and Lily are attending to their own, and Akira quaffing a mug of strong-smelling black coffee. I actually don't know how to pronounce that. Looks like she's gonna go back to work if she's drinking strong-smelling black coffee in the evening. You're a lucky bastard, Hisao. Huh? I can't help grimace at her teasing smile, still visible around the edges of the mug pressed to her lips. Seeing my sister in her pajamas, there's a lot of men out there who'd like to be where you are. I've seen a lot more than that of her. Not that I'll admit it. Akira! Hey, I'm just teasing. She leans over to me as much as she can, whispering with a sly grin written on her face. And Hanako too. You perv. Hey, it was her idea. We both look over to her. Her face turned to the ground, and her hands fidget in the lap of her nightgown. If it's Hisao, I don't mind. What the fuck? What? Don't start this, Hanako. Don't start this. Hanako, don't start this. Hanako, don't say that. Don't say that, Hanako. Hanako, don't say that. That sounded so wrong. Or is it? This could be bad. I know, Hanako's altogether too innocent to bother reading too much into such a thing. But the expression Akira directs at me is possibly stormy. Akira? Oh yeah, Lily could hear that shit. Lily could hear that shit. There's no point of trying to whisper, man. Akira, please. It seems Lily can sense Akira's sudden change in aura, just as well as I, even without seeing it for herself. Akira slowly looks away from me, like an attack dog unleashed by its owner in the nick of time. I breathe a sigh of relief. I can't think of a more appropriate time to try and change topics than around now. It's so weird that Hanako replied in that kind of manner, man. Why? Why did you reply like that? Oh man, she's doing pre-orders. Holy shit, she's doing pre-orders. If you don't mind me asking, Akira, what do you do for a living? I've never seen you out of that suit. Thinking about what to do with yourself after school's over, huh? I'm a lawyer. For the most part, I work in the legal department of the Japanese branch of our family's company. The most boring possible answer, I suppose. Lots of pretty dry topic to most people. Kinda. Oi, you're not supposed to agree. Lily gives an amusing giggle, holding her teacup and saucer. Hanako quickly joining her. This friendly atmosphere between everyone is something I'd missed while Lily and Akira were on their trip. While the dealings I had with Hanako didn't help, I think just not having Lily around changed the mood. It's nice to be back. I miss you, Hisao, and you too, Hanako. Same goes for the both of us. I'm guessing your classmates were happy to see you back. In a manner of speaking, yes. Akira's amused snort shows she's well aware of Lily's attitude towards such figures of speech. I'd imagine she'd have to be, given how long they've been together. Did you have fun in Scotland? For a moment, I wonder why she's asking. It having been quite a while since they came back, but then I remember everything that happened. We simply not had the time to look back, what with the exams and our Hokkaido trip. Lily's face goes distant for a moment. And the fact that Akira's first reaction is to look over to her sister doesn't escape me. Nonetheless, she quickly collects herself. Oh no, the music is lowered to 1%. What did they mean by this? It was nice. We haven't met our family in such a long time. So it was a wonderful reunion. Yeah, I guess that's right. Their house being beachside was the best part, though. From her dismissive tone, I get the feeling Akira doesn't like their family as much as Lily does. You only like that because you finally had time to play around. Just because I'm the better swimmer. I don't take after the athletic side of the family. That's all. Well, you can take heart in the fact that you got the high genes at least. And the bus genes. That's not really the right kind of thing to say around others. Though Lily pretends to scold Akira, she does so with an unmistakable, slightly cheeky grin on her face. She's dabbing at her, man. She's dabbing. I doubt Akira really minds that, judging from her nonchalant expression. While I don't either, Hanako's looking down and blushing fiercely beside me. What? The sisters' antics aside, their parents really do live a bourgeoisie lifestyle. It seems utterly divorced from the life that Lily and Hanako had lived until now. I suppose practicality must have made the decision for them. To have come from such a wealthy and well-connected lineage only adds to the almost noble air Lily seems to have. It's a small wonder none of it seems to have rubbed off onto Akira. They really are a little alike as siblings could be. Their only similarity seems to be their shared confidence, which can be both endearing and a headache at times. Most of the night continues much the same, with Hanako eventually leaving the Sato sisters and me to ourselves as she heads back to her dorm room for a rest. For a while, only the barely audible sound of Lily's teacup and saucer can occasionally be heard as she slowly drinks. The silence is strained as Lily and I wait for the elephant in the room to be addressed. So, Lily dutifully puts her cup down, giving her sister undivided attention. With Lily and me on one side of the low table and Akira on the other, it almost feels like a judge passing down a verdict. I heard you two are going out now. I glance sideways at Lily to confirm her as the source of Akira's knowledge. She gives a gentle nod to Akira, which I mirror in affirmation, deciding that this is the proper time and place to do so, and Akira being the closest figure to a parent Lily's had much for her life. I bowed deeply with my hands on the floor before me and my head very neatly the same. Oh, my dear Kaza, what the fuck? I'll take good care of your sister, Akira. I promise you. See? He's a lovely young gentleman. She must have heard my voice coming from a lower position than usual. I slowly bring myself back up, my eyes steadily looking at Akira from under my brow. To tell the truth, I very much doubt my suited judge will raise any objections. She's very definitely the type to make her disapproval with the others well known, something that lends her measure of respect in my eyes. The very old-fashioned kind, huh? Well, he's the kind of person I guess you'd go for. I don't have a problem with that, and I wish you two the best. Even if I didn't like it, I couldn't really do anything anyway. I offer a nod of appreciation to her, as slowly gives a small sigh of relief, likely most out of duty than any actual belief Akira might have any problems with us being together. I do wonder, though, how's the rest of the family taking it, particularly this part residing in Yamaku? Have you told her? Smiles turns to grimace as Akira grins downright evilly. Those closest know how to twist the knife best, after all. Putting up with it may be the best term for the situation. Don't you agree, Hisao? Yeah, that sounds alright. At least she's being reasonable about it. Good to hear. That girl can be a handful at best at times. We sent a few messages back and forth during and just after the trip. She was already busting my chops for seeing my boyfriend when we came back after leaving Hideaki for so long. She really does care for the little guy. I cast my mind back to Shizune's odd reaction after telling her about our relationship, but decided not to bring it up. It's no doubt simply born out their mutual antipathy, and Akira's comments only back that up. Well then, that's settled. Gotta get to work early tomorrow, so I'll better be off. She rises from the table with a grunt, her hand on the knee to push herself up. I just noticed Akira's eyes lingering on Lily for a couple of seconds before turning away as she begins to take her leave. As she walks out the door, she stops and looks up thoughtfully before turning to us one last time. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to tell you. Use protection. Every time. You don't have to tell us, man! We know! I gag violently on the teeth of my mouth. Contrary to my own, Lily's composure holds perfectly as she seems entirely unfazed. I'm kind of impressed. We are. Don't worry. Nice! This level of confidence! Wait a second. The scenes didn't show them using protection. That's a lie. Atta girl. See us. And with that, she turns and strides away, a hand held high as she disappears into the darkened hallway, closing the door behind her. The most reaction I can muster into flocking forwards onto the table, completely drained of energy and truly exhausted by her. Lily's ability to hold her own against the suited devil is something I admire. She really is incredibly blunt. I don't think I'll ever be able to keep up with your sister's energy. As I feel Lily's soft hand come to rest on my own, I roll my head to the side to see her gently smiling. For a long time, we simply sit beside each other silently. Given her unquestionable, unusual height, she is pretty much exactly as tall as I am, probably a couple of centimeters higher if anything. Like this, she appears even taller. The feeling of her pale, soft hand against mine is a pleasant one, as is the sight of the thick, thin, silken pajamas she wears, showing her curves and collarbone. You do get on well, though. You do say that. I guess. You two are a lot more alike than I first thought when I met you. Then it's a good thing I quickly stopped you from going after her, isn't it? Though she jokes about it, my assessment of my inability to keep up with Akira, either physically or mentally, was quite in earnest. Lily's slow pace and ladylike, almost motherly nature is perhaps the single thing that helped most in my first weeks in Yamaku. Come to think of it, wait, since when were we using protection? I knew it, because they never did! As I give a curious look into my side, Lily's cheeks pop out as she huffs at me. Unlike you, I remembered. The packet is in the cupboard next to the sink. So I'm not the only one of us that takes a pill. In hindsight, I feel rather thoughtless for not remembering at all and leaving it to Lily. Looking over to the cupboard she mentions, I notice again the knee-high piles of books around us that were here the other times I visited. For the most part, they're lined up against the wall to give a little more room around the table. Why don't you get a bookshelf for your books? It's odd to see books just piled around, especially given that your book looks so neat. Your room looks so neat and orderly otherwise. They're easier to find this way. I know exactly which pile each book is in. Wouldn't you still know after putting each set on a different shelf? That may be, but... So, she's not mean to bounce a laziness after all. We have so many of them. It's kind of a shame we can't share our book sets despite both of us reading so much. She gets a short giggle. Come to think of it, why do you order your books through Yuko? I'd imagine there'll be plenty of sites that you could order books in braille form, especially in English braille. There's a lot of text-to-speech programs too. She turns her head slightly away from me, which strikes me as somewhat surprising. not all that good with computers. I'm alright with typewriters and braillers, but that's about it. Her tone almost makes me chuckle. She's a prideful person, so admitting something like that must be difficult. So Lily is the low-tech kind of person. Given her old-fashioned personality, it's not really a stunning surprise. I wouldn't worry about it. A lot of people aren't really that good with them, so it's not that unusual. That unusual. Now she's even more depressed. I feel like I'm twisting the knife rather than healing her wounds. With a bit of squirming, I shuffle my way closer to her, tentatively putting one hand around her waist to hug her. I'm still not really used to this kind of physical affection, but Lily seems to like it. I mean, obviously, it's no surprise her love language is touch. I mean, obviously, she relies on it so much. Lily smiles as she turns to face me. A kiss being the reward and giving in to her. She draws me in, brushing my upper lip with hers before pressing against forehead. This way, every one of my senses are filled with her. The barely perceptible scent of her hair, her taste as her tongue, fleeting, touches mine. The tenderness of her lips, the image of her filling my mind. The total silence apart from her faint breath. We may have kissed before, but even if this is more a kiss of simple affection than anything, it's still a new and pleasant sensation. Judging from her vivid blush as she pulls back, it's obvious she feels the same as I do. Even if we're entirely alone, it still feels a little embarrassing to open up to each other this much. If we take everything day by day, I think that would be the best. Small steps, right? Yeah, just small steps. We have plenty of time to be together, even after the school year is over. As long as we move together, I think everything will work out okay. Neither of us going anywhere soon after all. For now, I'm just thankful for the small moment in time we can spend together. Wait, let me check my mail very quickly. Oh shit. Oh, okay, never mind. Because one of the creators I'm supporting was asking for my address because it's one of my benefits as one of her supporters. It's worth supporting artists, by the way. It's really worth to support artists. It really is. Anyway, let's continue. I stand unmoving in front of the door to the nurse's office for what feels like at least a dozen minutes or so. It's not like I never entered the small beige room before, nor is it because of any feeling of childlike anxiety over the visit. Maybe it's because the nurse's office is akin to a confessional, an admission that my body is flawed. The knowledge that such a fact is kept entirely confidential between the nurse and me hardly lessens the feeling. Remembering the bell to signal the end of the lunch break will sound soon. I give a sigh and open the door. The burden will stay with me just this while longer. Well, now, if it isn't Nakai, good to see you. Or bad, I guess, considering that I'm the nurse. He gives a small laugh. Amusing at his little joke, I find his humor lacking and somewhat off. But the fact that he can make light of such a situation is perhaps comforting or at least distracting. His brief episode of entertainment is over. He clasps his hand together and gets down to business. I take a seat as he gestures for me to do so. I wish the classrooms had seats comfortable. I can feel my mind wandering as my eyes quickly scan the room, distracted by all the small changes since I last came. Alrighty, so what brings you here? I haven't seen you so often, but I assume your health's been good so far. Well, mostly. I see. The smile draws as I trail off. I feel slightly guilty about it. It's these moments where I can't actually call myself normal that make me so reluctant to see the nurse. They're an admission that I'm different from everyone else. While I was on the trip during the long holiday, I had a few problems with my heart. He hums very seriously and nods as he does so, urging me to go on. I think it was, yeah, It was as I was walking a fairly long distance. I think the right term for it is a heart flutter. I suddenly went weak at the knees and felt almost like I was having a small heart attack, but it passed in about half a minute. Even afterwards, though, I feel pretty fatigued and nauseous. Mm, not good. Not good at all. That was how many days ago exactly? Did you do anything unusual aside from exerting yourself before the episode? Were you taking your medication properly? The nurse switches from an awkward jokester to a serious help professional mode, writing all questions, making notes, and calling out stuff on his computer. I tell him about forgetting to take my pills that morning and proceeding at evening. It was a stupid thing to do, but I can't change anything about it now, except answer honestly and bite the bullet. It seriously evolves into a frown. The talk evolves into an instant checkup. I finish buttoning up my shirt and again get motion to take a seat in front of the nurse. Is this the first heart problem you've had since coming to Yamaku? I've had short pains in my chest before, just a couple of times, but they were more discomfort than anything like this. He leans back in the chair, really resembling a white-coated Pierrot, as he mulls over the mysterious case of the heart flutter. Moving his lips from side to side to show he's thinking, his non-existent mustache wiggling, he eventually comes to a conclusion. Well, you survived it. That's always on the plus side. A blink at this one. Then notice the nurse wearing his got you face. It's actually somewhat reassuring. I don't think he would crack jokes if things were really serious, so I keep silent and take my lumps. I'll have to talk to your doctor, but right now I suspect it's simply due to physical exertion. Have you been keeping up with your regular light exercise like I directed you to? He hasn't. This isn't Emmy's route, so I'm going to die early. I make sure to walk a reasonable amount every day. It's usually enough to work up a bit of sweat, but then again, I'm not really as fit as I used to be. That should be enough then. The main thing to keep in mind is to do regular low-stress exercise, not short bursts of sprinting and such. He keeps reminding me of the time I chose the option that anchored me to Emmy's route. So don't worry, we'll do Emmy's route after this. I have to. I promise at least that route. I don't even know if I'm interested to do other routes. I don't even know if I want to do Hanago's route or Shizuna's route. But at the very least, I did promise Emmy's route, so I'll do that. Anyway, let's continue. I understand. Since leaving the hospital, I've been a lot more focused on my studies, partly to take my mind off being able to do more physical things. It's good to hear you're coping well. Sudden lifestyle changes can be hard at the best of times, so I'm pleased to hear that you sound like you have everything in order. Almost everything, that is. Nevertheless, I want to keep a close eye on you for a while, just for observation's sake, just to make sure things aren't going downhill. You understand? That's something I really didn't want to hear. Since coming to Yamaku, all I've wanted to do is live as normal a life as possible. Observation was one of the words I came to hate most during my hospital stay. For so long, I felt as if I could have just walked straight out the hospital doors, and not for the observation the doors wanted so dearly. The doctors wanted so dearly. Sure. Should I come in more often? He checks the calendar next to his computer. He seems to inflict on him a nasty case of furrowed brow. Spins back toward me after that. The summer holidays are a bit of a pain, considering the timing. I'll check with your doctor to try and get a better handle of the situation and see how he wants to proceed, but I think you should just take things slowly and carefully for now. What you're describing doesn't immediately sound like a reoccurring event, but it won't hurt to slow down a bit for a while, just to make sure. What should I do for today? He looks over my shoulder at a clock hanging over the door. I'd never had noticed it if I had followed his gaze. It's nearly time for school to be over, so you might as well just leave early. He gives me a sly wink, making sure I understand he's doing me a favor. Doctor's orders. Well, nurse's orders, thanks. Well, he's a nurse. I forgot. He's a nurse. He's not a doctor. He's a nurse. You don't have a full-time doctor in the place. That's what I'm here for, after all. I know you might not want to hear this, but you can't ignore your condition. Don't hesitate to see me if you have any further problems, or if you just have anything you want to ask. Bye. He spins around and gets back to typing on the computer in front of him. I suppose I'll just read before waiting for Lily by the gate, considering I don't have much else to do. Even as I leave, his words echo in my mind. My condition isn't something as limiting as many of the others here in Yamaku, and I don't want to burden Lily with thinking about it. If I just live life normally and avoid any short, sharp shocks, I should be okay. I wouldn't let my condition rule me. Lily comes to interview after the bells heralding the end of school day ring out. She says farewell to a number of her classmates heading in the other direction before beginning her weekly trip to the convenience store. Afternoon, Lily. The immediate warm smile and relaxed demeanor she assumes upon noticing my presence are unexpectedly welcome. Hello, Hisao. Good morning, good afternoon to you too. She hesitates for a second, but eventually declines to tilt her head forward and close her eyes. My lips meet hers with a measure of slight trepidation before we move off, hand in hand. The fact that we're so close in height is somewhat useful at times, there being no need for either of us to turn our head upwards or downwards in order to meet the others. It doesn't take much time to leave the noise of the other students far behind us, the tapping of Lily's cane in her fair, free hand, the only sound to be heard. Silence, blissful silence, is all that greets us while we slowly walk in the setting sun's light. I think I'm coming to really like this town. The huge green hilly expanse, the trees everywhere, the somewhat rustic little buildings. So you come to appreciate the tranquility of it as well. I think so. I came from a metropolitan city near Tokyo, so the quiet of this town really alienated me when I first arrived. After a while, it became really nice though. I think I prefer it to the hustle and bustle of my home city now. While I preferred the quiet of such a rural town even when I first arrived, I suppose I had the advantage of growing up in a quiet area before I came. Hanako said the surroundings are very pretty too. Lee may say such a thing quite easily, but each time she mentioned how others describe sights around her as beautiful or pretty, I feel a little put off. I noticed her expression becoming one of anticipation for some question or another. She always had a good sense for when somebody's not saying something that's on their mind, so I may as well speak up. I was kind of wondering, how to put this? Do you ever regret that you can't see what things look like for yourself? It's just something I've been thinking about. She thinks carefully for a time. Do you ever regret that you can't hear people whispering on the other side of a room? I can only speak for myself, but the fact that I can't see is the only way I experience life. Just as I can't do something you can't do something that I'm capable of. The fact that the world is made for those who are sighted can be a pain sometimes, but there are many, many people who suffer much more than I because of the way the world is. That does make sense, but still, it just feels bad, kind of bad to describe something that you can't experience to you. She tilts her head quizzically, as if I said something that makes very little sense at all. Actually, remember when she asked, like, what's your favorite color or something like that? Because she has no sight ever since she was born, I think. She doesn't have like the visual concept of like red, white, black, green, or you would probably describe her everyday life as black because she doesn't have sight. But like, I don't know, because I can only imagine. I can only imagine what being blind is like if I close my eyes. But then again, what would it be like if you were born without sight at all? I don't know. I actually don't know. Like, how do you game a concept of like red? You know? I actually don't know, man. Anyway. Let me reread this. She tilts her head quizzically, as if I just said something that makes very little sense at all. But I can experience it. You just said it yourself, that you like this area, because of the way the surroundings are. I like this area for the very same reason. Thanks to the fact that this is the small, rustic town, surrounded by trees, it gives some peace, quiet away from the din at school and the bustle. Not to mention the smells of the city. All right, okay, that makes sense. That really helps. That really helps me understanding that question. But the smells of the city. You don't want to be in New York during the summer. It's a fucking mistake. To be in New York during the summer. Imagine that smell. I don't like that smell at all. It's like the smell of hundreds of years of filth just rising up. You don't want that smell, man. Let's continue. I suppose it would also be much like the home she shared with Akira as well. Her outlook on it seems pretty sensible, and I'm not surprised that she got a much better handle on her particular condition than I do on mine. Just like how her coming from a location somewhat similar to Yamagu's surroundings let her become more acclimatized in a shorter time. Being born and blind affected her stats by her own admission. I just stopped being so annoyed with myself over it, but I can't shake the feeling that I've defended Olivia far too much, given the circumstances most had to deal with in Yamaku. It makes a lot of sense. You're pretty good at explaining, as always. To think of it. Where is Hanako anyway? She was with us for lunch. It seems she's busy studying. Exams are far from over, and she said she wants to do better this year than the last. Well, I admire her work ethic. She's really been trying to give us a lot of room alone recently. She's the type of person, I think. The kind that puts others' needs above her own at every chance. She's a sweet girl, even though so much has hurt her in the past. I don't know. I feel like it's only now, when she's less close to me than ever, that she's truly finding herself. It was all thanks to you that she began to become more confident. After all, not me. I take my hand from hers and gently place it on her head. The important thing is that you were there for her. I can't imagine what she'd be like without having found someone like you. That much became obvious while you were in Scotland. We're all still friends, so we just got to have faith in her. I think she'll become a good person, and that much is thanks to you being there for her when she most needed it, just as you were there for me. It makes me feel a bit childish when you sound so wise. Well, I try. Are you doing anything on the weekend by any chance? Nothing that comes into mind. Why? Then, how about a date on Sunday? There'll be something to do besides exam preparation. Countering my rapidly beating heart, she simply smiles and nods. That would be lovely. Where would you like to go? Her face suddenly changes to one of disapproval. You can't do that, Hisao. That's cheating. Do what? A gentleman should never ask a lady where to have a date. Ah. Oh. Her smile quickly comes back, assuring me that she's far from serious. Don't worry about it. I'll think about where we can go. I'll leave it to you then. I promise to decide on the next date though. With our plans for the weekend made, the rest of the walk down the hill continues in silence. The prospect of that lasting for any length of time, however, is shattered as I catch sight of a familiar figure waiting for us, her hand held high. Yo, why is Akira randomly in the middle of the road? What the fuck? She randomly enters. What the fuck? Holy shit, she just randomly enters. Yo! Thank you. Please come again. The change in temperature as I step outside from the convenience store sends a chill up my spine. It feels like summer is starting to wind down. Finally, it's changing seasons, man. I can't wait for fall to come. I hate summer, man. Just standing outside just fucks me up, man. Anyway, let's continue. Looking to my side, the same feeling seems to affect Lily as well. Though unlike me, she doesn't manage to hide the fact. Something I didn't realize at first is how physically delicate she is, even compared to the likes of Hanako. If I had to describe her, I'd have to say that she reminds me of a China doll. Akira walks behind her and gives a couple of hard pats on her shoulder, much to Lily's consternation. For a moment, she looks as envious of my status as an only child as I am of their close relationship. They talk between themselves for a few moments as they sort out my bags. Their voice is too low for me to catch, but eventually they break off and we begin to walk back to school. It feels good to be out of that damn office. You kids don't know how good you have it here. Kids. You too, then. Kids grow up so fast nowadays. You're not old enough to say that. I don't know. Being around Hideaki makes me damn old. He's so precocious. He reminds me of you when you were younger. He's a nice boy. It would be a shame if Shizune comes to have too much of an influence on him. Akira gives an amused snort at her sister's antipathy. She really doesn't seem to regard it as anything to make a serious fuss about, treating it more like a childhood spat. She looks over at me, apparently only just remembering that I'm here, and gives a small grin as she reaches toward her back pocket. What is it? Just a sec. Let me dig it out. After quite some difficulty, she manages to retrieve her black leather wallet from her back pocket, quickly fishing out what looks like a folded square of paper. With all but unaware of what's happening, Akira unfolds the scrap and hands it to me. An old photo of what looks to be a younger Lily and Shizune operating a noodle stand with some other girl in the background. She looks vaguely familiar, but I can't pinpoint why. Wait, who's the girl behind? Is this something I figure out if I go to another route? What the fuck? What is this? Oh, that's cute. They had a time when they were so. Who's the girl behind? That bothers me. Like, who is she? Is this my disadvantage by going through Lily's route without going through the other routes first? Anyway, let's continue. What is it, Akira? I think you know. Lily mulls this over for a few moments before realization dawns on her. Akira, you really needn't. It's fine, isn't it? Besides, it's like the only photo I have of you two since you entered Yamaku, where you're not at each other's throats. I look back down to the photo in my hand. It does seem strange to see Lily and Shizune working together so diligently without a sign of animosity. If the photos of them during Yamagu's festival, that means it must have been taken 1 or 2 years ago. In other words, the time when they were both in the student council together. I'm still bothered by the girl behind them. Who's the girl in the back? She looks kind of familiar. Huh. I knew you wouldn't recognize her. It's Misha. Before she went and dyed her hair pink. What? What? Why did Misha nerf herself? What the fuck? She was way better back then. What the fuck? That's Misha? No way. It feels extremely strange to see Misha without her very distinctive hairstyle. Judging from Akira's tone, she doesn't take favor to Misha's idea of fashion. I suppose that fact just accentuates how odd the situation looks. To think they were so friendly in the past. I wish I could do something to mend their relationship. You're being very quiet, Hisao. It just feels kind of strange to see you all so friendly like this. Lily moves to say something but stops herself. In the end, this isn't a matter for me. It's between Shizuna and Lily, and nobody else. Things change. Unfortunately. I hand the photo back to Akira, who sighs as she folds it up and slides it back into her wallet. A little memory, quietly hidden away, to be pulled out again some other time. Yeah, that they do. Initially, I think Akira's reaction to be simply in response to the situation between Lily and Shizune. But she looks oddly glum compared to what I'd expect. Lily's expression has clouded as well. What's wrong? It's just that I'll be going to Scotland fairly soon. You're leaving for Scotland again? For a long moment, Akira looks surprised. It's an ill-fitting expression for her. After a glance at Lily, she turns back to me, as if she'd never done so. Yeah. In a couple of weeks, I'll be leaving for Inverness to work at the company's headquarters. It's a pretty big jump in corporate position, and it's not a chance that's going to come again. So Akira is going to leave Japan on what seems to be a permanent basis. I can't help feeling that my assumption that we could all happily while away our days. Wait, what? That we could all happily while away our days. Oh, that's a term. Anyway, while away our days. Having fun in this isolated little world is coming to an end. It's unsettling. I look at Lily, mildly surprised that she hasn't told me such a thing, despite unusually being so forthcoming. She continues to walk with her face fixedly pointed ahead. I can't read her expression, nor can I even guess what's on her mind, which is discomforting given how much it's usually easy for me to do both. It reminds me of the time when we meet at the Shanghai, just before what could be called our first date. At the time, all I could do was comfort her without knowing the cause, and now feels no different. As we finally reach the school dormitories once again, there is a somewhat awkward silence. I don't think I'm the only one who feels it. See you tomorrow then, Lily. Bye, Akira. Good night, Hisao. See ya. And with that, they walk to the female dormitories. Opening the door to the male dormitories, I stop and look back at them just moments before their figures disappear before the heavy wooden door. That was a strange moment when Akira said she was leaving. Well, that wasn't the first time when my thoughts regarding my new life had been called into question. It's perhaps the first time to it quite so profoundly. I still don't know what to make of Akira's reaction, much less of Lily's. The nights chill remind me to get back to my room before I catch something. My bags pulling down on my arms with seemingly redoubled weight. And nothing else, I have a date with her set up for the weekend. I just need to stop overthinking stuff and get on with things as they are. The exams are still ongoing. Wait, sorry. After all, and with the trimesters end and the summer holidays beginning soon, there'll be plenty to keep me busy for a while. As I carry on and retreat inside, my thoughts turn to what Lily will decide to set as the location of our weekend rendezvous. Wait, I need to drink something. I need to drink some water. And also something. You know what? I'm gonna get a good glass. But I need to drink water first. out of wine at home. Well, there's some white wine, but I used to have for cooking, and it's kind of shit to drink. But I'm surprised I still have some the coffee Nika whiskey. And I was out of that. Well, you know, whiskey's good for our current occasion. Anyway, let's continue. I'll probably buy myself like a good. It's been a while since I had like bought like my Rokujin is kind of is close to running out. I'm out of Calvados. This is also should restock. I also don't want to drink my other much more aged whiskeys, so I should restock like a no age Hibiki or some shit. Either Hibiki or Nika. I'd rather have a Nika. I love Nika better than Sundori. But they're good. They're both good. But anyway, let's continue. I'm pretty sure this is about the last thing I had in mind when Lily said she decided where to have our date. No man nor woman dressed in anything but in their finest. Their formality only matched by that of their surroundings. Rich red wallpaper adorns the walls as the city lights far below flicker and glow. Combined with the ambient hum of quiet speech and the high-pitched clattering of cutlery and wine glasses. The mood is very formal, yet relaxed enough for not to feel too uptight, despite this being our first real date. Once we got seated, our waiter leaves to attend to the others with a quick bow, after an appreciative nod from Lily. Far from depending on my help, Lily has managed to navigate herself around surprisingly easily so far, despite the unfamiliar environment. A light brush here and there, and she's generally quite adept at orienting herself as needed. Oh, that's a nice dress. That's a really nice dress she's wearing. My eyes look to Lily's. I can tell from her face that she's listening to her surroundings, just as hard as I'm looking. Truth be told, my eyes are rolling on her each time they sweep across the room. The red cheongsam. I don't know why she's wearing a cheongsam in the first place. That's a very unusual dress to wear. She's wearing accentuates her figure very well. Shows off her legs. Even her hair is done up. And the scent of perfume is just noticeable. While the black suit may be a rental, I managed to select an appropriate one. It feels surprisingly comfortable considering I've rarely worn one, and it fits the setting just as well as Lily's attire. I don't think I've ever seen someone in the show Sam in real life before, so this is very unusual. But you know, if it looks good, it looks good, I guess. When was the last time I wore something? I wore a suit just to eat, just to dine out. Like the last time I ate, like I wore a coat, but without I didn't have a tie. So it was a French restaurant. It was a pop-up. It was a collab pop-up by some Michelin star chefs that I felt like dining at. Anyway, let's continue. I guess this is a new experience for both of us then. She turned somewhat sheepish. I never come to a place such as this one before. No. One hell of a first date, that's for sure. It's going to be pretty hard for me to top this. A small giggle. Even now, our nervousness is dissipating. Well, you know, one way to think about it is like, let's put this as the ceiling. You know, you don't always have to try to top it off, man. Though it'll be hard if you guys got used to it. And then that's where the downward spiral begins. And I'm not talking about the relationship. It's the habit of going out to fancy places so much. Anyway, her hand skates along the center of the table until it touches the menu, which she takes in both hands and brings to her face. Hisao? She lowers the beige, laminated sheet just below her eyes. I can see another sheepish look. And not asking the waiter for a menu in Braille would be productive. I can read it out for you. No problem. I take mine and give it a quick read. A small grin faltering. Perhaps there is. What's wrong? There's quite a few menu items on here. And I'm not completely sure how to pronounce a couple of them. One kind cuisine after another is listed. Most may be in Japanese, but a few are in English and French. I guess that's to be expected, but I have no idea what's in some of these. Oh, this one I recognize. Wait, hang on. You can cook that? A small giggle of amusement comes from behind the paper sheet. Well, I could read them all out, but it'll take a few hours. Is there anything with some kind of fish in it? Let's see. Bro, look for the halibut. It's gonna be good. No. Aren't those poisonous? No. They eat that stuff? No. Ah, here we go. A tuna salad seems to be a good bet. From the picture, it looks like it's pretty filling as well. Salad and noise? What the fuck? Are you sure about that, man? That seems to be a reasonable safe option. Sorry, I make a guess because it's like this is a kind of French place with like maybe French place, and then it's tuna salad. There's literally a French salad that's tuna salad basically. Let's order two then. I'm pretty sure a couple of these dishes are from poisonous animals. I've had enough deadly run-ins for now. Lily maintains a smile, but there's a distinct lack of laughter. Black humor mustn't be her cup of tea, though. To be honest, I don't find it exceedingly funny either. There are certainly quite a few interesting smells wafting around. The same is true of the sights, I assume. I've never been anywhere quite like this. I fancy Japanese tea house on occasion or two, but never anything this lavish, nor European in styling. For another word can be said, a portly waiter in distressing tight vest appears at our table to take our orders. I knew it! I'm an expert with this shit, man. I knew it. Oh, man. Oh, it's from Provincial. Oh, shit. That's good. That's some good shit. Although I like their roast chicken. I like their roasted chicken better than San Nicolas. Yeah. They have really good roasted chicken, man. The French really know how to make their French chicken, roast chicken. There's the French and the, which South American kind of roasted chicken I like. And I don't want to give myself some temptation to go out this weekend. Mustn't spend this weekend. I'm gonna cook at home. I've been ordering too much in Uber Eats, and I probably spent more than $600 in the last 2 weeks. In Uber Eats, what the fuck? I gotta stop. I'm just gonna cook at home this weekend. Anyway, listen to you. I hope it didn't mess up the pronunciation of that too badly. Even if I did, it doesn't show it. You know, normally for that kind of situation, I just point. If I have a hard time pronouncing it, I just point it, or I just say this or that. Literally. I'm not gonna try to impress the waiter who's most likely gonna be like, at least you tried. Alright. And may I have a glass of Chardonnay, please? Hisao. Oh, the same. As the waiter nods and leaves. I suddenly realized what I said by absentmindedly mimicking Lily's answer. I regret it pretty quickly. Alcohol. What if the company that her family works at is a Scotch company? Wait, this is Scotch? Wait, I've heard this is famous for like let me not worry about this. I'm thinking about so much about alcohol and all that shit right now. Where the hell is it? Where the hell? Where the hell? Oh, okay, we're back. Alcohol. Only a bit. I don't think so, man. I remember the times I got fucked up in a fancy restaurant. You know what? Never ever get one of those fucking wine pairings or alcoholic pairings in like in the course in the set menu. I mean, sometimes those alcoholic pairings will cost more than the actual meal itself. And you drink bunch of glasses. And then at around the 75% mark of like your course, you'll be too drunk to fully appreciate your set menu. Your menu for the night. Never again. just do your own customizations or some shit. This girl has an odd propensity to getting hooked on things, I swear. Surprising that they didn't ask for identification. Then again, I guess we both do look mature for our age. Actually, come to think of it, when I go to a fancy restaurant, they never ask for ID. Although I do look way beyond the drinking age, but like when I see younger couples or a young person, like, you know, maybe early 20s, not once do they ask for ID. But in a supermarket, when you're buying beer, they're gonna ask you for ID. When you're in a convenience store, you buy some beer, they're gonna ask you for an ID. But a fancy restaurant did not once did they ask me, at least here. I'll have to take your word for it. I'll add that this isn't what I'd call the type of place to ask such things, though. Good point. We both relax a little in our seats, trying to take our minds off the choking formality of the surroundings. As soon as we do, the same waiter reappears at our table with empty glasses in the bottle, the contents of which are quickly and professionally poured into the former. Ooh! That's so nice. We both nod politely as he leaves. Lily taking her glass and gently moving it from side to side. The liquid inside glistens as it moves around in the glass. And I have to admit, it makes me a little less regretful for ordering the same. I guess it must take an effort to judge how the liquid inside is acting based only on its center of balance. Maybe it's like her origami. taking every little chance to practice with dexterity. I guess I'm not surprised that you know about a place like this. Those who have money would, I suppose. This reminds me of how completely different our upbringings were. In Yamaku, it's easy to forget about social and economic disparity between students all wearing the same uniforms, living in the same dormitories. Well, Akira was the one to tell me of it. She's come here before, apparently. So that's what they were conspiring about on Friday. And you chastised me for cheating? That's not cheating. I'm simply making use of personal contacts. If you say so. Still, I get the feeling that you're more familiar with this kind of restaurant than I am. She pauses a moment, a wistful look on her face, before softly smiling. The compliment seems to brighten her mood. You can thank my former school for that. If I were to appear any less, they'll be greatly disappointed. She has mentioned her previous schooling before, but now I'm kind of curious. She seems to think a lot about her past, so don't see any problem in asking. What was that like? It was prestigious. All girls and Catholic. These facts made my parents choose it for me. Many wealthy families send their daughters there. From how it sounds, life there must have been pretty strict. I wouldn't say it was a bad experience, but you're quite right. It was very strict. Thankfully, I managed to adapt well enough and make a number of friends. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for my sister. She found the atmosphere and religious aspect suffocating, and then ended up leaving for a job as soon as she was able to. She gives a small, self-depreciating chuckle. I shouldn't complain about it though. Not many even have the chance to go to such a school. Do you resent your parents for sending you there? Then leaving? She gently shakes her head. My family is highly patriarchal. My father, business always on his mind, was entirely lost as to what to do with me. In the end, he made the decision that my education was a higher priority than staying with the family. He simply did what he thought was best. To say such things so easily. What an unbelievable girl. That said, I'm a little surprised she doesn't think her blindness played any part at all. Though, maybe I'm being too harsh on her family. You're too kind-hearted. You know that? Most would hate their parents for something like that. Well, some do. Oblivious to my raised eyebrow. She takes a sip from her glass. The wine sips down effortlessly. Her fondness for it evidently helping her deal with the flavor of alcohol. I can't say the same goes for me. What of yourself? What was your schooling like? Mine? Let's see. It was a fairly normal public school. I suppose, maybe a bit busier than the norm. I did quite well in class, played in the soccer club, as I am the only child and my parents both worked a lot. I wasted most of my free time and money at the arcade with my 3 friends. No matter how much I played, though, I never did manage to beat Mai at any of those machines. Even Takumi. Oh, Takumi! He's having his knee sword again. Holy shit. Anyway. Even Takumi and Shin lost to her. Whenever they tried. Then I'll be left trying to be responsible, be the responsible adult when Shin and Mai fought. Again. Just the 4 of us, aimlessly enjoying our childhood. Those were some pretty silly times. catch myself as I realize I'm starting to zone out. The days of old school disappearing into the night sky, and the bright city lights outside the window. Lily's face is not a mixture of curiosity and sympathy. Given her strict schooling, I suppose something like this would seem an interesting contrast to the only life she's known. It sounds like your previous school was a lot of fun. Not really sure how much of it is nostalgia, but there are some nice memories. That's in the past though. I can't go back there now. But through my accident, I found a new life I never had imagined leading. The peace and calm of Yamaku, my new direction for my future in science, the friendship of Shizune, Misha, and Hanako, and most of all, you. She gives a deep, genuine smile as she moves her hands toward me, her fingers just lightly searching out my face or softly caressing my cheeks. Her hand reluctantly retreats after a second of warm silence as we notice the waiter arriving with our meals. Lily does a deft job of covering her condition, except for the fact that her nod to him is slightly misaligned due to his silence. She seems to work hard at appearing normal as possible in public. While I noticed it long ago, I still can't quite gauge whether it's a want to not be treated differently, a slight sense of vanity, or some mixture of both. The dish serves lines up to the salad name, and the portions pleasantly large. Sliced eggs and tomato. It looks very enticing indeed. Oh, I'm getting hungry myself. It's 12. I mustn't hunger at this time of day. Lily takes her knife in one hand and fork in the other, quickly getting to work on the dish as I do. It's later than when we usually have dinner, so we're both eager to dig in. My cautious skewering of the leaves and vaguely meat-like squares with my fork is matched by Lily's silent and measuring, frothing, and chewing. An occasional tap around the sides of the piece of the food to work out its edges is the only giveaway to her lack of sight. I'm done with my meal in a little time. Lily taking a little few bites as I sit observing her. Finish, Hisao? Yeah. It was pretty nice. That much is very true. I never thought a simple salad could be so tasty and filling. But then again, I suppose that's why it costs so much to eat here. Content with my appraisal, and evidently agreeing, Lily gives a small nod. You know, given that your port exotic looking and quite pretty, I'm surprised that nobody's ever confessed to you before. You're assuming nobody did. The simple statement takes me off guard. I shouldn't be surprised given that I was complimenting her just moments before. Really? I've received several confessions, both in this school and my previous one. Adolescence is a funny time. She's kind of talking as if she's above it all, above it herself. Huh. How easily you say such a thing. Lily looks surprised for a moment before a playful smirk covers her face. Is that jealousy? What? No, it isn't. You're a bad liar, Hisao. You should take that into account. Then again, I do appreciate how sincere you are, even if you don't intend to be sometimes. I think your honesty will serve you well when dealing with others. This is a tip, by the way. Any option that requires your honesty, you gotta do it. When you're faced with a question, with a choice, you pick the one where you're honest. That's her deal. That's her deal. That's Lily's deal. That's Lily's deal. I cleared my throat in mock disapproval of this whole business and tried to steer the conversation elsewhere. To tell the truth, though, I do prefer solitude to being surrounded by others. I don't think I could maintain a social circle like you do. He contemplates this for a moment. I don't think that's true either. I've seen how gentle and caring you are around Hanako. That you get so marvelously well with others, even those whom you hardly know. I think you're quite adept at social situations. But on that note, what are your confessions, Isao? I'm sure someone like you must have had at least one admirer. As I open my mouth to speak, I can feel my face turn slightly dull. At times like this, I secretly appreciate the fact that she can't see my expressions. Just one. Her name was Iwanako. It was when she confessed to me that I had my heart attack. There in the woods, during winter. Lee finds herself speechless, not expecting for the topic to move in such an area. My condition has always been something of a concern for her, something I was trying to minimize despite my body's best efforts to the contrary. Afterwards, she visited me for a while when I was in the hospital. For weeks she came in and talked. It was usually just small talk or classroom gossip. But that was enough. But eventually, she just stopped coming. She was there every day, then every other day, then once a week. Then finally, one day she just stopped visiting entirely. Did you ever see her again? By the way, the game gave you a hint, and you should take that hint. Mention the letter. Wrapped in my own little world, I shake my head before remembering the futility of the gesture. Mention the letter. The memory of that single letter Iwanako sent me comes back to my mind. To be honest, oh wait, by the way, before I continue, to be honest, like, if you're in a relationship with someone, say that shit, man. Why would you drop the subject, especially you brought it up, man? Why would you hide it? Let's continue. The memory of that single letter Iwanako sent me comes back into my mind. I never saw her again, but after I was sent to Yamaku, she wrote me one letter. Lily's face shows an expression I know well. I'd pique her interest. I'd be slightly offended that it's simply a matter of curiosity for her, but she's never been very good at masking her reactions. In hindsight, it really didn't say much. What was going on in my old class, how she was faring, and almost as an afterthought, that it was probably best for the both of us we don't see each other again. After reading it, I ended up reassessing a lot of things I thought I managed to work out. For the most part, that letter reminded me that the world around me was still moving, and just how much I'd become isolated from it. And I guess it also reminded me of what I lost. She gets the information some thought before her face lights up in realization. No doubt, she worked out that it was this letter, which had contributed to my angst during the lunch on the rooftop. It's a rare sight to see Lily quite so lost for words. Her entire persona is a little deflated from her early rap interests. As charismatic as she is, in the end, there isn't any replacement for life nor relationship experience. Perhaps it is better she said it than not. How's that? It can be difficult to work out how best to communicate with those you haven't met in a long time. All the more so, considering your separate situations. Instead of doing what was easiest, she built up the courage to talk to you one last time, not only for her sake, but from how it sounds, for yours as well. I think I made a comment about this before. You know what? Maybe she's right. What Lily just said. If you, it helps with moving on. It helps with moving on. It's better to give like some sort of like closure, even if it's like what feels like, you know, washing your hands. I still feel like it's like washing your hands, but like it's still moving on, I guess. So if it's anything, you know, maybe it ain't so bad. All right, let's continue. Maybe I don't hate her for it. Not that I really ever did, but I don't know. Probably a more non-committal answer than I should give. But it isn't without cause. I never looked at the situation from an apple's perspective like that before. Seconds pass in the silence before Lily speaks again. Moving to Yamaku must have been hard for you. Having your friends, even your girlfriend taken from you for no fault of your own. The worst of it passed while I was in the hospital. When all that surrounds you is all those four white walls and a small television, your mind takes on a life of its own. It's like my old school, I guess. I just try not to dwell on what's happening and keep drinking ahead. All that reminiscing does is get me down. It's largely thanks to you that it feels like things are finally getting back on track. That's pleasing to hear, Sal. She lowers her face slightly, her expression pensive. I guess I went too far and embarrassed her. I suppose you went through something a bit like what I did when you entered Yamaku anyway, right? I imagine the vast majority of our school's students did, after all. You said yourself that you made friends in your old school. I can imagine many followed you. Lily's deep smile drops, her expression unexpectedly darkening, giving her hands retreat to her lap. After a long while, she speaks. Sal, can you promise not to tell anyone else what I'm about to? I promise. She looks slightly taken aback by my serious tone, but then relents and smiles weakly before continuing. When I moved to Yamaku, I did regret losing the friends I had at my other school. But there was one person whom I most regret not seeing again. He was the reason I took up English as a future career. He? Considering she came from an all-girls school, that can be a schoolmate then. I've rejected the confessions I received until then for him. Every time I improved my English skills, his praise was the most treasured reward. It's funny, isn't it? Someone like me, able to boast about the people who have set eyes on me. Liking someone so utterly unattainable as my tutor. It truly is the most ridiculous thing. Did you? She quickly shakes her head from side to side. I couldn't. Even then, I knew it was impossible. A silence reigns over the both of us. This does seem to explain her ardent focus on her future in teaching English. But I can't help thinking of her confession to me. She lost him without even letting her feelings be known. That makes sense. That's why she was so willing to confess. Because she felt like since she wasn't able to confess back then, I can imagine she's regretful. And this time around, she, of course, naturally changes her mind about it and lets her feelings know. But anyway, let's continue. Did she somehow fear that would happen again? But with me, I don't really know what to make of it. I've heard such relationships before. Taboos born of such things as puberty and youth. The fact that she had the good judgment to not act on it, though, is heartening. By the way, he did, regardless of what was going to happen that weekend, he was planning to have a confession that weekend anyway, so it just so happened she beat him to it. But, you know. Let's continue. I know this must sound strange, but please, don't think of me. Why would I think of any less of you for that? To be honest, I think he must have been a nice person if you like him so much. Not only that, but you stopped yourself before going too far. For a moment, she looked somewhat lost. Most unexpectedly, though. It isn't a second before she starts to laugh. The sound takes me off guard. It's not a giggle, not a restrained chuckle, but an honest and genuine laughter. I find myself smiling, and not just at her display of relief and happiness, but for her to trust me enough to let me see the most private of secrets. Before I realize it, I feel her palms touching my face. Her touch as gentle as ever, with her thumb slowly stroking my cheek. You're so kind, Hisao. I really do love you. Seeing her face like this, with her palm gently caressing my face, I think tonight has been a wonderful night. What are you talking about? The night's not yet over, guys. I guess we both had pretty weird pasts, huh? I think by most standards, our present is rather odd as well. I smile and hang my head. This woman can easily run strings around me. Of that I'm quite sure. I look back around the room with its continuing quiet hum of patrons. This place probably fits into the odd category too. It is a tad overbearing. There's one word for it, yes. I catch the eye of the scurrying waiter. A short, scrawny guy no older than 20. He kind of reminds me of Kenji, though unlike him, the waiter isn't dressed for winter during midsummer. After a curt bow and an offer to remove our plates, Lily asks for the bill politely and softly. With an expert coordination, he maneuvers around the tables, our plates in hand, to retrieve our bill. In no time, he reappears through the doors, smartly handing our bill to Lily, who promptly hands it to me, causing me to raise an eyebrow. As I read the small computer. Well, to be fair, she can't read it, of course. As I read the small computer printed leaflet, the cost is considerably more. It's considerably more than I expected. Wait, you took the menu and you didn't look at the price? Hisao? I quickly stammer out that mouth, to which Lily merely nods and reaches for her purse. Giving her card to the waiter, he disappears once again. That was a disproportionately large amount of money. The statement seems to make Lily slightly uncomfortable. My family leaves me more than enough for my education. The same goes for my sister. No, she dislikes being reminded of that fact. That said, I too dislike throwing money about. But this one time, I think I can make an exception. Just for you. Not only did you choose our date, but you paid for both of us as well. I take the bridge of my nose in my fingers. I can't believe how high you have set the bar for our next date. She gives a small giggle. I'll be looking forward to it, Hisao. The waiter reappears beside us, as if by magic, and hands Lily's card back to her, evidently picking up on her lack of sight. He places the card in her hand with an extra perhaps unneeded amount of firmness to make sure of her grin. Leaving, he exercises a measure of diplomacy by keeping a neutral face, despite my own expression. Clapping my hands together, I stand up from my seat in order to bring an end to our night out. Shall we be off then, my lady? My lady! My lady! My lady! Well, someone uses the stance. You know, the stance. The stance when you hold the lady. I forgot the name of the stance already. I can't believe I played Elden Ring like a month ago and I already forgot the name of the stance. Because I hardly use my lady. It's gonna be Milady tips Fedora. Yeah. Snap upwards out of my sheets and sit bolt upright in my bed, as if an electric shock had just run through my entire body. The night air feels cold against the sweat of my bare skin, my breathing short and rugged nearly to the point of hyperventilation. Mind racing, I bring my hand to my head in an attempt to soothe my body's panic state. It takes me a number of seconds to realize my hand is shaking violently, even as I press it against my face. 4 seconds pass in complete silence, my desperate attempts to subdue my body and mind slowly, thankfully, working. Gathering myself, I start taking measure of the state I'm in. It feels like I've run a marathon, every muscle feeling tense and sweat practically pouring off me. I carefully direct my attention to the beating of my chest, measuring out the rhythm in my head. Sure enough, my unreliable heart is functioning properly, for once. Just, what the hell was that? A heart attack? A bad nightmare? Medicine side effects? I've heard about panic attacks, and this does seem to have the hallmarks of one. I can't even be bothered thinking about it right now. I feel utterly exhausted yet completely awake after this experience. I look over to this other side of my bed. The pale white of the silent figure's face almost glowing in. The nighttime darkness of the room. Just the sight of her is enough to calm me down significantly. Oh, nice. She's sleeping there. Man. I knew that. Well, at least they didn't show another scene, but whatever, man. She's sleeping at his dorm room. Nice. Her graceful demeanor persists even while she's asleep. Her perfect measured breathing, gentle face making it impossible to tell whether she's awake or truly sleeping. Giving in to temptation, I delicately run my fingertips over her hand. Her skin is so soft to touch, as it always has been, yet warm even in the cold night. It's at times like these, silently appreciating each other's presence, that I feel we're closest. My fingers stop at her wrists, and I bring my hand back down to the bed beside me. I'm not entirely sure why, but as we became each ever closer to each other, it felt as if something grew between us. I'm not entirely sure what it is, nor whether it existed before we'd fallen in love. Everything is moving so fast. I don't mind it at all, but it feels unlike Lily to be pushing things this much. Oh man, I have a bad feeling. Thankfully, there aren't any students mulling around the hallways at this hour of the morning. Lest I be interrogated on why I'm carrying 2 plates of breakfast in my room while dressed in an obviously hastily donned uniform. That isn't to say things like this never happen. A single security guard patrolling between the two sets of bedrooms situated right next to each other. It's a very small force compared to adolescent hormones. Come to think of it, the fact that it's Monday morning probably helps. I'm not really sure why, but Mondays seem to bother me less than they do most others. It takes a little creative use of my hands and elbow, but eventually I manage to work the door to my dormitory room open. Stepping inside, I see Lily just getting up from bed, tiredly rubbing her eyes. She looks a mess, just like the most other times I've seen her as soon as after she wakes. She really isn't a morning person. Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. She groggily shakes her head. The morning light illuminating her makes for a very pleasant sight. It's okay. I need to get up anyway. What time is it? I put my plate down on my desk and turned the clock around to check the time. Still early. Don't worry, there's plenty of time left before school. She sits on the side of the bed and begins to sniff the air. As she does so, I quickly move her plate away and put it on the desk beside mine. Yes, I got us some breakfast. Shower and clothes come first, though. Oh, nice. Good morning. I guess this is good morning, huh? She stands still for a moment with her chin pointed slightly out. I gladly acquiesce and press my lips to her, savoring the soft feeling before breaking off. Oh, that's a morning fulfilled. With a small, sweet smile, apparently quite satisfied, she slowly makes her way to the showers. I stretch to try and wake myself up a little more. Oh, it's good to know that each room has their own shower. Anyway, I stretch to try and wake myself up a little more, briefly looking at the steaming breakfast dishes on the desk. Rice, fish, miso soup, and some vegetables. Standard breakfast for a somewhat unusual day. Oh man, I'm excited to have some Japanese breakfast. Wait a second, I'm gonna check out something later after stream. Although I shouldn't be eating outside, but whatever. Maybe once a week isn't so bad. I grabbed a bottle from my desk and started taking my daily regimen of pills. It's the first time they actually showed his pills, by the way. Sometimes I wonder what these things are even good for, given all the troubles I've had since the initial accident. I can't even say that it doesn't hurt to take them, considering the side effects so far. Well, whatever. Doctor's orders are that I have to take them. And rationality suggests that I'll be well served to trust his judgment over mine. It doesn't take long for the noise of the shower to cease. A quick one, apparently, being fine for Lily given the circumstances. Emerging from the bathroom, she looks significantly more awake, having had the chance to collect herself. Without a word, I gently take her hand in mine and guide her to my desk. Wait, how does she know how to get to the shop? Wait. She already understands the layout. What? Does she know where the soap is? Does she have an idea if it's like the shampoo or the conditioner? Anyway, let's not think about this right now. Considering, I mean, because he says like guiding her to my desk, and I'm like, how does she understand the layout of the room? Well, she kind of showed that she has the ability. She does things to understand the layout of a room, but it's like getting from the bed to the shower. Well, it's because she probably has been to this room before, or maybe the night before. I actually don't know. Let's not think about this too much. Considering I don't have a table in my room as she does, it'll have to do. Thank you, Hisao. What did you prepare for breakfast? Just rice and some veggies? Something fast? Her face lights up in revelation. That's quite a breakfast. This is normal for you? Now she's being nice. She's just being nice. I had little doubt considering her past that this isn't exactly a high-class meal by her standards. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Just because we're students doesn't mean we can take it lightly. That's my belief, anyway. From what others have talked to have said, I might be in the minority. I don't eat breakfast, but that's because I practice intermittent fasting. But then again, this whole week my intermittent fasting schedule is fucked. Because the thing I've been doing this week gives free snacks in the morning. Anyway, I take a seat on the side of my bed and begin eating together with Lily. Her chopsticks lightly tapping out the outlines of the veggies, just as I noticed her during our date. This is quite nice, Hisao. I had no idea you could cook this well. This time she's much more genuine. I can tell that much. That said, cooking really isn't anything special at all. After a bit of practice, it's pretty easy to make a simple dish. Most of the credit goes to modern technology. Still, after years of cooking for myself, I should hope so. I got bored of eating instant noodles and ordering pizza every time my parents were both working, so I taught myself how to make a few meals. I'm still trying to get a knack of it though. You'll make a good wife someday, Hisao. What did she mean by this? I take a good of rice and place it onto my thumb before carefully taking aim and giving a good flick. Lily, just a little as it hits her cheek right on the target. I can't help chuckling a little at her expense as she lowers her brow and tries her best to assume a harsh and serious expression. Oh, that's right. What is it? Did you have any problems sleeping last night? You seem restless. So she was awake back then, or at least partially so. Whether it was my heart or a nightmare caused by the side effects of my medicine, the last thing I want is for her to worry about me even more. Even before my relationship with Lily, I felt my body was a drag on everything I did. My body is my burden alone. So long as I'm with her, I'll continue to act as normally as possible. No, not particularly. Bro is having a shiki moment once again. Holy shit. If that's so, that's good then. Luckily, she seems to take me at my word. Got to think of it. There was something else I wanted to ask. Oh? How should I put it? When you dream, do you see people and objects? Yes, of course, Oh. I feel more than a little sheepish for that slip of the tongue. However earnest it may be, Lily looks unperturbed, though. Alright, here we go. I had this question earlier. Now we have the question of dreams. I don't know how that works, though. But you don't taste, feel, nor smell things. You know, I don't recall the sensation of taste or feeling or smell when I dream. I only remember images, but I don't remember well, I remember situations, at least description of situations, and sometimes there are some images attached to them. But like taste, feel, or smell is something that never occurred to me when I dream. Or at least when I try to recall my dreams. Let's continue. I move to answer, but find myself struck before thinking about it. The more I mull it over, the more I realize that her hypothesis is correct. That's true, I guess. I never looked at it that way. Are you saying that you do? For the most part, only here in dreams. But yes, sometimes I touch and smell things as well. I'm just asking since Akira thought it strange that I did when I brought it up with her. If you don't either, then maybe it's due to my blindness. That would make sense. You rely on your other senses more than me, so maybe that affects your dreams as well. The wonders of the human body, I guess. For the rest of the time before school, we quickly eat the hearty breakfast in front of us, exchanging a few small pieces of small talk as we do. A quick peek out of the door assumes nobody's looking directly at the entrance for boys' dormitory. We walk out with our path clear. Ah, the weather's good today. As stretched as Lily and I make our way outside, the bright morning sun beaming down on us. By now, a few students can be seen doing the same, making their way to the main school building, either from the dorms or through the main gate. It does feel nice and warm. Our hands link, and a hurricane tapping the ground. We begin in earnest our trip to the school building, and joining the chattering throngs of students around us. This would be the last day of exams, no? Yeah. Heard you're going in them. Fairly well, all things considered. You seem a bit stressed by them, though. It's that obvious, huh? I don't think it's just the exams, though. A lot of things been happening in a short amount of time. And I'm not doing that well on the humanities subjects. You're doing well in sciences, though, aren't you? Typical STEM person. Typical STEM person. Doesn't like to read. Doesn't like. Wait, he's a guy who likes to read. Then why is he shit at humanities? Unless they bundle English with the humanities. But holy shit, he's a guy who likes to read. He's a guy who read Dune. So like, you know. Let's continue. Well, it would be hard not to do well in science for me. Come to think of it, didn't you say before that you weren't very good at science and maths? She suddenly looks very sheepish, her remark no doubt hitting home. Lily's sense of pride really can be a double-edged sword. Well, aside from... Ah, way to go! She just dismisses it and goes, well, aside from that, have you ever given thought to what you might do with that ability? It seems a pity to waste it. A bit. Mostly at Muto's prompting. In any case, I'll probably end up doing science as a career in some form. That's good to hear, Hisao. As we enter the gardens, I suddenly receive an unsolicited pat on the back. The green-dressed culprit dances around to meet me, evidently not paying any heed to Lily at my side. Hey man, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, just been busy lately with exams and stuff. Exams, maths. A true Renaissance man needs no study to excel such things. Kenji just strike me the kind of person that does well in school, even if he has a horrid attendance record, poor work ethic, so I have little reason to doubt his ability. To be honest, I'm a little envious of him. Between studying for exams and my time with Lily, I had practically no time for myself. Maybe this is a bit like how Yuko feels. Good morning, Seto Kaiba? What the fuck? Anyway, it's good to hear you're doing well. It feels slightly odd to see Lily speaking so formally. She's come to address me more casually over the months, though I've seen her speak more formally to classmates from time to time as well. Some people never change, I guess. Not that I would say her calm and polite manner is a bad thing. It was one of the reasons I like being around her to begin with, after all. Kenji seems to take a moment to work out who is beside me, and probably hasn't noticed us holding hands either. I wonder if those glasses of his actually do anything. Oh, hey Lily. Good luck in your exams too. I'll see you after school then, man. I like how his eyebrows are like slowly like... The slight edge to his voice makes me think those words are meant to be imperative rather than a casual fair. Well, I guess I'll have to smooth things over later. Sure, see ya. Kenji nods curtly. He moves fast by us. He's too busy glaring at Lily's general reaction to take notice of her game. Before I can try to react and save the situation, Kenji trips and reflexively reaches out for a handhold. Unfortunately, said handhold turns out to be Lily's arm. Ah, whoa! Both fall to the ground in a sprawling heap, with me left feeling rather helpless. Ah, damn, are you two okay? Kenji quickly rises back up, seemingly unfazed by that. Of course, he's trying to save face. No problem, man. No problem. This is nothing. My body can take much more worse abuse. Lily lays face down on the grass. She doesn't look hurt by the accident incident. More startled than anything. I feel sorry for Lily. I move closer to offer her my help. Are you all right, Lily? Hey, Sato. Kenji offers her a hand, tentatively touching hers to let her know what he's doing. He says an odious thing sometimes, but I do think he may be a genuinely good person at heart. I imagine he feels pretty bad about this. To his surprise and mine, Lily pounds on the ground into her fist without warning. Damn it! What the fuck? Wow. Kenji freezes, entirely caught by surprise at her outburst. I'm just as shocked. She never acted like this before, not even around Shizune. Uh, Seemingly only now remembering that there are people around her, Lily slowly climbs to her feet. Her face, as she does so, makes me retreat a little. Oh my god! She awoken something in her, man. I only catch a glimpse of her expression before she turns away, but it's not something I'll forget soon. She showed plenty of annoyance during her clashes with Shizune, but this flash of anger was something else. There's no way that this is just about this petty incident. She pauses for a moment before sighing and walking on ahead. I really don't know what to make of this. I'll talk to you later, dude. See ya. Yeah, see ya. Oh my god! She really got angry there, man. She really got angry. Like she never once showed like an emotion that she was that kind of angry before. Oh my god. Kenji snatches the back of his head, trying to find something to say, then shrugs and walks away, giving us a wide berth. I quickly catch up to Lily. She turns her head a little to acknowledge my presence, but nothing else. I probably should. I should probably scold her for lashing out like that, but I also don't want to get into a shouting match with her. She's still very obviously annoyed. In the end, I keep my mouth shut and wait for her to cool off. Damn, yeah, yeah, she never acted like that before. Even I'll be like, what? One of the kindest persons I've ever known. She got so mad at him. Like, what? After a quiet walk in, we eventually reach the top of the third floor stairs, in the junction where we part every day. I turn to Lily before she leaves. While I do like the comfortable and warm silences we usually share, this was anything but. I don't want to leave things like this. You seem quieter than usual recently. Is there anything wrong? She shakes her head almost automatically, as if to dispel any notion that they need to worry about her. It's just the exams taking their toll. I'll be fine. I don't think that's the reason. I very nearly say so, but decide against it. There's no point in trying to draw it out from her if she doesn't want to tell me. Especially when she's in a foul mood like this. If you're sure, I'll see you later then. As I turn down the hall to go to my classroom, Lily's soft voice rings out from behind me. Hey Sal, yeah? I'm sorry. With that, Lily makes down the hallway to her own classroom, her hands skating along the metal railings. I still stand and watch her until she turns into her classroom out of sight, for going to my own class with a fair measure of reluctance. Huh? No, I'm a little confused myself. As usual, I'm early. Muto is fiddling with folders and papers on his desk as he prepares for the day, while a handful of students mill about, chatting away. While my feelings about Millie haven't dissipated, far from it. Her mention of my exam performance did remind me that I have my own life's journey to attend to. After thinking about it, I have realized that I do generally want to pursue science in some form as a career, rather than it simply being a path of least resistance. Until now, though, I didn't have much of an idea where in the field I wanted to go. Just science is a pretty broad category of jobs. Something Lily mentioned earlier focused my thoughts. Something I'd only idly pondered about before. I'd not seriously considered following this specific path. I walk up to Muto's desk, his attention too focused on preparing for the day's lessons to notice my approach. The same every day. Good morning. He looks up with an expression of mild surprise, that's quickly replaced by his typical awkward smile. Good morning, Nakai. Can I help you? Do you mind if I ask you something? He looks down at his messy pile of books on the desk before putting down the papers in his hand and standing up with some difficulty to properly address me. That's what I'm here for. After all, ask away. I was just wondering, what would you say is the motivation behind teaching? He thinks on the question for a few moments before responding, evidently far from having a prepared answer. If you talk to 10 different teachers, I think you'll get 10 different answers to that question. Well, I can only speak for myself. I'd say that I teach because, it sinks into thought again. I like how he thought about his, I thought he only thought about that part, then he realized, oh wait, I have to think about the other stuff as well. Carefully assessing the way he wishes to present his idea. Think of it this way. When you were a child, you probably played with sticks and pebbles in moving water such as the gutter or puddles, right? Yeah. I think a lot of people do that when they're young. Well, it's not just when they're young for some, though it does take on another form. My point is, though, that when one is doing that, they're curious about how the water will flow or be changed. Everyone, even at a young age, still possesses an intense wonderment about how the world around them works, even in its smallest forms. I still feel that sense of wondering about the universe. Even just reading about new discoveries or classic experiments gives me a renewed sense of awe at how marvelous everything is, from the farthest of stars to the smallest puddle. I just hope that I can give others even a small piece of that wonderment I feel. Even that I can do that, even if it's just for one person, I think that I can be happy as a teacher. He scratches his head as he mentally reviews what he says. He gave something nice, then he realized, I can't believe I said something like that. It's so cool. I feel like I understand him better now. Even if he's awkward around others, he does have a genuine want to be around them and offer them a piece of himself that he values. What Lily told me yesterday rings in my ears. I think you get on well with others, huh? She always did say I was unusually curious. Sorry, but that was a little meandering. Does it answer your question? It does. Thank you. I also had another question, actually. Oh? What might that be? Do you have any college brochures or guides? It's about time I start getting some applications in. He nods and bends down to look inside his desk. As he does so, I notice he's wearing a remarkably genuine smile. Wow! Nice! I don't think I've ever seen him act this natural around others. Perhaps this isn't Muto, the teacher, but rather Muto, the person. Here, if you need any more, feel free to ask. He hands me about half a dozen brochures and booklets of various colors and sizes, which I take eagerly. Yes, it will be this information which I'll be used to forge my own future. I think now, after all the time and all these trials, I can finally start to see the big picture of my life ahead of me. My body may be like this, but my mind is still very much able. Thank you. Oh, that's a nice development. It's a very nice development. It's 1 o'clock. I'm still gonna continue. I'm still gonna continue. It's a good Friday night. Saturday morning. This is strange. Wait, why is it up to you? A single thought graced my mind a countless number of times since my life here began. It feels like an easy way to discard the troubling question, as if simply labeling something with those three words will make it go away, or at least not worth thinking about any further. A life before my heart attack feels more blurry every time I try to remember it. And my mind struggles to keep up with all the events suddenly happening around me, since I heard somewhere that this is what it feels like to be left stranded in the country with only the most basic understanding of the local language. Indeed, when I think about it, that seems a marvelous analogy for what's happening to me. But such situations are supposed to make you feel capable in that language very fast, as you're forced to learn it in order to survive. But another way, the situation becomes sink or swim. I wonder if I really managed to swim after all this time. Exams are stressing me out a lot, even though they finally come to an end. But I have remained in Muto's favor, and I have some sort of direction for my future now. But I keep using that stupid, meaningless phrase. This is strange. It really is amazing how fast one comes to accept being surrounded by people with sometimes incredibly jarring disabilities and conditions. So much so that I really wonder why I feel so much like a foreigner. It certainly isn't lack of socialization or friends. I've come to know most of my classmates on first name terms, and know a few others around the school. Whether they're missing an arm or leg, the students here are just like anyone else of their age. I can navigate the halls that I once lost myself in with ease, and not expect to ever have, thanks to the school's logical layout, and can engage my teachers in a comfortable discussion. I swirl around gently the tea in my cup, the reflected image of my face becoming distorted by the moving liquid. This is strange. I used to hate drinking tea. Maybe I'm thinking too much. The familiar sound of china rattling from the teacup, touching an accompanying saucer, rings out. Is something the matter? Don't worry, it's nothing. I take a long sip of the tea in front of me as the girls do, just whistling away the time in Lily's room, sipping tea with her and Hanako. It feels familiar, almost nostalgic. So, how's your work in the newspaper club going, Hanako? I want to know too. It sounds like it would be quite interesting. Hanako's face turns down at the attention placed upon her, though her smile belies the fact that she genuinely likes being the center of attention for the two of us. It's good. I think I'm getting better at it. Naomi and a couple of her friends handle most of the jobs, getting stories and stuff. I just do the computer things, like putting the stories together and getting it printed. It's nice, since I can sit and concentrate. I see Lily's low-tech nature isn't shared by Hanako. While sitting in a room compiling other people's newspaper articles and documents doesn't strike me as overly outgoing. It's heartening to see her widening her circle of friends. Baby steps, I guess. It'll be probably a bit much to be expecting her to become a socialite like Lily. How are you finding Naomi? I heard she can be quite troublesome at times. And Lily's going into her mothering mode over Hanako. Letting go of her is something she had to learn. Hanako scratches her cheek, thinking of another answer. Naomi's nice. She's a bit loud sometimes, and a bit tiring. But she's really helpful. Her friends are nice too. That's wonderful to hear, Hanako. I'm glad you found a source of such enjoyment. Lily's smile is warm and genuine, but I can sense a touch of wistfulness to it as well. Hanako seems to miss that entirely, but I don't think for a second that I'm imagining it. I suppose it's because I've slowly come to pay more and more attention to everything going on around me. With things seemingly happening faster and faster, it feels like I'll miss something if I'm not as observant as possible. With the exams, my newfound love life, trying to fit in some break studying, regardless of my options for college and university, my heart condition applying the brakes on everything at irritating random times, my brain's been in overdrive recently. It makes me appreciate the rare quiet times such as these. I guess this is why Lily came to appreciate her weekly walks at the convenience store and her tea parties with Hanako despite her like being surrounded by others. They give her a moment of peace in a chaotic and busy life. Thank God the exams are over. The comment draws the earnest chuckle from both of the girls. It seems like everyone's been a lot happier since the exams ended last week. So, what are you doing for summer holidays, Hanako? Only, I quickly count the days in my head. Today's Monday, and school finishes on Saturday. 5 days to go, after all. I was thinking of traveling, just around a bit. There's a lot of places I want to see, and I think I have enough money to pay for the bus and train rides. Now me and one of the other girls in the newspaper club said they might come along too. Her look indicates she's given the matter quite a lot of thought. I'm kind of surprised that she's contemplating something like this. It seems she's become intent on striking out on her own. That's really good to know about. It's really good to know. Even in Lily's route, Hanako's getting her shit together. Nice. Is there anything in particular you're thinking of going? I was thinking that Kyoto sounds nice. I think I'll try to go to a few places. So Lily nods in approval, happy with Hanako's plans. While I cast my eyes to Lily, I refrain from asking her the same question. She's been evasive of her plans for the future for a long time now, but I never seem to get a good time to approach the subject alone with her. Every time it comes up in a conversation, it feels like she's either unsure of herself or simply dodging the question. It's troubling. Be sure to call us sometime while you're out and about. I gave you my number before, right? Hanako gives a quick nod, a happy smile on her face. It's strange to see how happy people seem to have become when they have a goal to work towards. Yuko seems to brighten whenever her university aspirations are brought up, and now Hanako is just the same. So why do I still feel this uncertainty, and why Lily too? Relationships really can be irritatingly troublesome sometimes. What time is it? Oh, it takes me a second to remember that Lily's clock doesn't have any visual feedback. I really should know, given how many times I'm in her room. Nevertheless, I take my watch from my bag and quickly check it. The reason for her asking becoming clear. It's 20 past 10. Nearly curfew. Hanako rises to her feet, dusting herself off, metering her ground after doing so. I'd better be going then. Good night, Lily, Hisao. Sleep well, Hanako. See you tomorrow. With that, she walks to the door and quietly makes her exit. Silence. This seems to be happening more and more between Lily and me recently. After a few seconds, I finally find something to talk about. Oh my god, this is not good. I don't like this. I don't like this, man. Oh yeah, I talked to Muto on Friday. I finally checked out some guides on college and how to apply for them. That's good news. If you're going to be applying for colleges, I assume you have some idea in mind on what you might do in the future. I think I'm settled on becoming a science teacher. It's going to take a while to get through university and everything to be qualified, but I think it will be worth it. Lily's face brightens considerably at the news. I suppose with her wish to become a teacher, she's delighted that I'll take the same kind of path. So, you decided on a career of teaching. I think that path suits you most excellently, Hisao. I smile and nod. Lest like even I know she can't see me doing so. I know she feels it. I imagine Muto would have taken to the news well. That's one word for it. Hey Lily. Yes? I know you want to be a teacher, but for a second, I wonder whether I should really ask her the question on my mind. But that's quickly brushed aside with the fact that this is rather late to have second thoughts. Surely, you don't think I'll be offended by something regarding my blindness? Her accusing tone is betrayed by her grinning face, amused at my awkwardness in raising the topic. Some things never change. Good point, I guess. I was just thinking whether or not being blind would be a hindrance. What with your ambitions to become a teacher and all? She looks mildly surprised before giving the answer some thought. I refuse to think she never actually pondered this issue before. I wonder. Hisao? Could you close your eyes for a moment? Oh, okay. Raising an eyebrow, I do as she requests. I have no idea what she has in mind. My questions only increase as I peek out from one eye. Taking out the black ribbon she usually wears in her hair from the cabinet beside her bed, she advances toward me while running it through her fingers to remove any stray hairs remaining on the piece of cloth. I suddenly click on to her attentions as I feel the black strip make contact to my face, wrapping around my head or over my eyes. What exactly is this for? It's a little test, is how. Since you seem to be wondering, I'll let you see things as I do for a while. For a time? For a while. Oh shit, my brain's doing auto read right now. Huh, so that's what this about. To be honest, this actually sounds kind of fun. Childish and rather silly to anyone who would be watching, but a bit of silly fun never hurt anyone. I stand up with a heave, my hands quickly moving out in front of me to warn me of any obstacles. Okay, now what? Now, touch me. You say so. Now then, I slowly make my ways towards the sound of Lily's voice. My walking speed could barely even be called a shuffle, the entire experience feeling alien enough that I don't want to risk inadvertently tripping over anything, such as a table or her haphazardly piled up books. Something soft yet solid brushes against my left leg. Further inspection reveals it to be Lily's bed. I move onward, finding myself thankfully that Lily's room is so neat and tidy. Even the piles of books she has are generally kept close to the wall, well out of harm's way. The hard wall pressing against my outstretched hands makes me furrow my brow in frustration. Hey Lily, where are you? What are you doing over there? I'm over here. Lily's voice comes from the other side of the room, far from where it was before, even to my untrained ears. If she's going out of her way to avoid me reaching her, then is this just a game to her? Of course it is. Compared to a life where even the concept of sight is an abstract one, a few minutes of blindfolding and nothing. I guess she's made her point. She's more than capable of navigating her room and further. I've seen how independent she is, even when compared to many of the others in Yamaku. Well, Even if this is just a game, I might as well play it wholeheartedly. With a pace much quicker than before, I moved towards the source of her voice, deftly sidestepping the table in the center of her room thanks to remembering its position. I've got you now! She gives an impish giggle, one just long enough to work out that she's passing just beside me. I quickly turn around to face the new door. Ah! The table wasn't there before! Oh. I slowly sit up next to the bed, raising my blindfold as I rub my aching head. I give an irritated kick to the table that's just sitting in front of where I fell. Utterly pointless, but the thing deserved it. Hisao? Lily's still standing just to my side, obviously unsure of what's befallen me. Sorry, I kind of fell over. Are you hurt? My head hurts, but I think I'm okay. I think the table moved in order to trip me over. She giggles as she walks over and takes a seat beside me, her hand resting on my own. I suppose that's the end of that then. I think so. But I also think I get the point. Though I do wish it hadn't involved such a headache. Lily suddenly looks blank. Point? And I return to an extraordinary flat look. That was just for fun? I just thought it might ease you up a little about the subject. You always seem to tiptoe around it after all. In regard to teaching, sight isn't that important. There are plenty of subjects taught entirely by blind teachers. More than enough resources for me to learn the subject. It's as simple as that, really. I slump my shoulders and give a sort of amusement. Yeah, I understand. I guess we both just had to work hard to reach our goals then. What is it? With a little hesitation, Lily pushes forward her chin and closes her eyes in an unmistakable gesture. I said gladly, my lips touching. As they do, I suddenly feel her... I have to be ready just in case, by the way. I suddenly feel her hand shaking up my chest from underneath my shirt. The feeling of her hand against my bare skin is enough to make my hair... Okay, let's get ready for the shit. The feeling of her hand against my bare skin is enough to make my heart suddenly accelerate. So, she's in that kind of mood again. Thanks for reminding me, game. Well, I really want to complain. She does genuinely like this. Even with all my medications, my libido is thankfully still intact. I don't like that. I don't like my eyes, man. I lean into the kiss further, holding her hand tightly as I feel it tracing the contours of my chest. Eventually, we break off from one another. The room's silence, but for our breathing. Hey, Hisao? Yeah? I don't suppose you could wear the blindfold again. Oh, they're doing that play. Holy shit. Her tentative suggestion takes me by surprise. I suppose she wants to introduce me to sex through her eyes as well. Or just wants to find out what it would be like during the act while hampered by the blindfold. With a measure of unease tempered by curiosity, I do as she says and lower the blindfold over my eyes. The world becomes dark once again. I reflexively tense as I feel Lily's hand gently brush the side of my face, entirely unable to anticipate her touch. I really need to get more used to contact like this. Even after weeks we've been going out, it isn't as natural for me as it for her. Silence. Hey, Lily. Shh. I obediently follow her instruction and quietly listen, trying to make out something, anything, that's happening around me. Compared to before, when I was chasing Lily, the need to carefully navigate the room's obstacles now gone. I can take my time to concentrate much harder on listening. It takes a while, but I eventually pick out a soft sound of her breathing in the otherwise dead silent room. In, out, in, out. Measuring it against my own breathing, I realize it's definitely deeper than normal. especially for her. Another sound makes its way to my ears, one that I can't identify immediately. I don't think I've heard it before, but my heart skips a beat as I realize the source. My hand almost reflexively reaching out towards it. Her face feels softer than the usual under my touch. Her head just barely turning in acknowledgement towards the fingers on her cheeks. Hisao. By the way, so since he's wearing the blindfold, we're not even we aren't seeing anything. So I wonder if this whole scene was just black. I mean, just to appreciate the whole atmosphere of the scene. But you know, I'll keep this up because I don't know what happens. We don't want to be surprised, you know, just like last night. I was surprised. Well, let's continue. Hisao. I gulp and take a moment to try and calm down. I need all the concentration I can muster while I'm like this in order to fully take in my surroundings. After a few deep breaths, I think I manage to collect myself. With a touch so light that it won't disturb a feather, I start to move my hand down her body, and I can feel myself losing focus again. Thanks to those thin, silken pajamas of hers, resting so perfectly over the curves of her body. It's like if she's like this, then that means she has to be sitting against her bed, facing me. Now to continue. Alright, this must be her hip. If I just move slowly downwards, Lily's breath catches as my hand comes over hers, tentatively following her fingers between her legs and losing them as they go underneath her underwear. Just the slightest moisture touches my fingertips, but it's enough to easily work out what she's doing. Damn. My mind suddenly fills with visions of what she must be like in front of me right now. I never even imagined her doing this before, and being unable to see her doing the act only enhances the mood. I work the blindfold upwards, brushing out of my eyes a couple of hairs that were stuck in the ribbon before. For a period of time, I can only guess at, the mind goes completely blank. All I can do is stare at my newly freed eyes, take in everything in front of them. God! Oh! I wasn't expecting this, guys. Too bad you guys can't see this. Well, let's keep the blindfold on. But holy shit, what am I looking at? Holy shit. Just as I worked out, Lily sits in front of me with one hand on the ground to steady herself, and the other fingers lightly brushing between her legs, hidden by her dark blue underwear. I think it's the most erotic sight I've ever seen. It's actually kind of good, not gonna lie. Once again, I'll reach out and brush her hair from her face, her chin tilting outwards as she fills her pleasure-wrapped body with another breath of air. Lily looks oddly cute as she smiles at my calling of her name. It always seems like it's at the moments when she's least attentive that she lets her most interesting emotions slip out. It's not long before she works her fingers over herself faster than before, her excitement evidently rising, the scent of her sweat in the air only echoing that fact. I sit in front of her. It's hardly as if my own arousal holding still. It's taking every fiber of my being to let her continue by herself, instead of pushing myself on top of her. It's strange. I'd initially found her clouded blue eyes to be distracting, almost disturbing in their lack of focus. That bothers me far less than it used to now. My attention refocuses on her, as she lets out a whimper, her breath becoming much faster than before, and her hips subtly rocking. Not sooner do I realize how close to the edge Lily's become, that her breath catches. Her eyes glass shut as every muscle in her body seems to contract, and she unmistakably reaches her climax. For only a scant few seconds she tightens, huddled in ecstasy before her body relaxes, with a long drained sigh coming from her lips. I just have no idea what to say. Silence reigns while I simply watch her, hair hanging over her face, as she sits exhausted.
It's Sao.
When she reaches out to brush my face, my urges take complete control of my body. Without so much as a single thought, I push myself over her frame. That's kind of hot, not gonna lie. Kind of hot. Not so hot, but kind of hot. Let's continue. It's an unusual feeling, being like this. I feel oddly powerful, holding myself above her blank face, as though, for the first time since the accident so long ago, I feel physically strong. Lily, I want you. To my surprise, she smiles weakly, before reaching upwards to feel the side of my face. That's an almost cheeky expression, of the kind which she usually gives only after getting something out of me. You wanted me to do this. She holds her smile and gives a silent nod. I guess it was an effective way to make me take the initiative for once. And again, to my surprise, she gives the ribbon still around my head a slight tug downward. Again, I'm lost in complete blackness. Well, we're back. Lily.
I told you to keep it on, didn't I?
That teasing edge to Lily's voice, punctuated by her breathing. She never seems to lose her ability to take control of a situation. But this time, this one time.
Ah, Hisao, where are you?
I slid my hands underneath her, soft silk and skin pressing into my hands, as I gently raised her body with a measure of difficulty. While I wouldn't describe her as heavy, her height makes her more than a handful to try and lift. It only takes a couple of carefully placed steps to feel the edge of her bed against my legs. My lowering of Lily onto her sheets, just as gentle as when I raised her. Your bed will be more comfortable than the floor, right?
Always the gentleman, aren't you?
I quickly run my hands down Lily's long, shaped legs. Their allure far from diminished without the luxury of sight, and pull off her pajama shorts and underwear from her ankle. I have no idea where those just went. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. We'll be somewhere around. With a minimum of fuzz, I shuffle down my own pajama Wait, why is he in pajamas? I mean, if he were to go to the women's dorm, you know, I'd expect him to wear it. I don't know. I try not to think about this too much right now. I shuffle down my own pajama trousers and underwear, positioning myself between her legs, or at least where I think is between her legs. With one hand on her bed to steady myself, and right moves tentatively downwards. Oops. My first contact with her is my palm clumsily meeting the front of her nose. She giggles a little before turning her head sideways. Taking my cue, I gently cradle her cheek and use my thumb to feel the contours of her face, as she so often does with me. This would be a lot easier if she wasn't moving her face in my hand, but the feeling of her nuzzling into it is nice. I swallow to try and steady myself, take my other hand from the bed and use it to guide myself into her.
As soon as I feel her warmth around me, I quickly realize just how turned on I am. With the sight gone, I'm free to concentrate far more on my other senses, including tactile feeling. The entire experience feels more vivid, more intense than it's been before. I slowly start to move my hips back and forth, my heart beating wildly in excitement.
Wait, he's gonna die! Holy shit!
I feel Lily's eyes clench shut, the movement of her cheeks under my thumb, reminding me of the gentle hold I have on the side of her face. It's hard to stop myself from being completely overwhelmed. It's hard to think that this is what sex is usually like for her, experienced through every sense but the one I hold dearest. From her cheek to her neck, I begin to slide my hand downward to take in the feeling of her body, the contours of her collarbone, the light dew resting on her skin. My sense of smell is stimulated by the scent of her sweat and mine hanging in the air. Even the ambient smell, notably different from that of my own room, adds to the feeling. When I move my hand in her supple breasts, her soft mewing fills my ears, along with the sound of our own act. The skin under my hand moves back and forth with each thrust. My grip, I should really drink some water. My grip on it tightening as my lust for the near naked body lilies before me grows. I can even feel a small nipple against my palm. My hand slides further, and my fingers pluck it through the thin silk of her pajama top. Her whimpering sounds turn to moans as she fills with the same pleasure as I. I can feel my heart beating loudly in my chest. Oh man, you're killing yourself right now. In my chest, and her own beating underneath my hand. I can feel her hands clasp my wrists, their grip surprisingly tight as her chest rises in overwhelming pleasure. More. I want more.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Did his heart just...
Oh my god, wait. I can feel my chest tightening as I rock back and forth frantically, both of us entirely taken with ourselves. Nothing that unusual. I just need to take deeper breaths to steady myself. This feeling is just normal. This isn't. I can't. This pain is too much. Oh shit, Hisao screams. I stumble backwards from Lily with unseemly haste, clumsily hitting the back of my foot against the table, falling to the ground with an unceremonious crash. Reading wildly, I frantically scraped at the ribbon over my eyes as I lay on my back. I had to get this off. For a moment, everything goes blank. As the rush of newfound light assaults my eyes, my breathing slows from the brink of hyperventilation. Maybe we're fine. Seconds pass and I carefully measure out the rhythm of my heartbeats with every ounce of concentration I can muster. My heart is normal. It's back to normal.
By the way, I was really, really worried because he keeps mentioning about his heart beating specifically while he was trying to make love with like fucking Lily. So, you know.
My body feels utterly bizarre as I lay dazed on the floor looking at the ceiling. The adrenaline from before is still pouring through my veins, but my mind is completely exhausted. I prop myself as I hear Lily getting out of the bed and coming towards me. Hisao, are you okay? Hisao! I'm fine, Lily. I'm fine. She gives a sigh of relief, her weird expression collapsing. Her face afterward is the very last I ever wanted to see from her. It's a face I detested when I first saw my parents in the hospital all those months ago. Pity. Lily pities me.
Oh my god!
she did the thing that he hated. You know that because I remember the first time when they went down to the town, or was it, you know, or just before that, she literally also mentions that she doesn't want to be pitied or whatever. And now, you know, I just close my eyes and turn away, powerless. I feel like throwing up. I can hear the sound of Lily moving away and quickly attending to herself. The ruffling of her clothing being pulled back after a moment of searching, just barely audible. Sorry. She slowly shakes her head as she finishes buttoning up her top. Her kind smile looks so fragile, so delicate that it makes my heart sink. Approaching carefully, she feels out the edge of the low table before taking a seat next to me, putting her arms around my chest. I'm sorry, Hisao. I shouldn't have pushed my desires onto you. You don't need to apologize. I'd normally be fine. You've seen that much before. I guess I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. My eyelids feel heavy, calmly sitting next to her like this. It's probably letting the adrenaline work itself out of my system and letting my mind relax. So that's why you never took the lead? Yeah. I guess it's a good thing you like to, huh? The joke seems to lighten her expression a little. A fact that which helps let me feel less unease about my unreliable self. Lily's head comes to rest on my shoulder as I struggle to keep my eyes open, with more difficulty after each blink. I feel completely drained. It's okay, Hisao. It's all okay. No sooner does she say this than a small, quiet tune escapes her lips. Entirely too tired to think, all I can do is listen to her soft humming. It's a soft, almost melancholic tune. It sounds familiar. But the more I try to remember its origin, the less I seem able to concentrate. The feeling and scent of her head gently rustling on my shoulder and her warm body against my side are soothing. The soft humming of her voice, too, relaxes my mind as much as her warmth relaxes my muscles. This singular quiet moment, after all this fracas, makes me realize just how exhausted I've become. I can feel my eyelids slowly becoming heavier and heavier. Even with the chaos of before, I wish this moment will last forever. Lily and I together, sharing a single, solitary occasion together, just as we used to. But if that's the case, why does she feel further away than she's ever felt before? I'm really scared, bye. You just know something's up, man. Something's up. You know what? I'll take this as an opportunity to end the stream. I need to get more. I need to get more sleep. Get my shit get fixed. You know, my sleep schedule and all. Yeah, I'm gonna look at that. I have a feeling I'm gonna finish this round by tomorrow. Hopefully before lunchtime. But you know, we'll see how that goes. But yeah. I hope you guys enjoy watching, and we'll have more of Katawa Shoujo. If we finish Lily's route tomorrow, probably start Emmy's route on Sunday. I don't want to start it immediately. I also want to catch up with a lot of things and decided to defer while I'm doing Katawa Shoujo. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys. Ciao.